Hey guys, what's up? How's it going? Thank you guys for joining the stream. We're going to be getting into RWBY Volume 4, Chapter 10, titled Kuro Yuri. Just waiting for people to join the chat, making sure everything's good. Let's see. Can you guys see me? Can you guys hear me? Am I good? Says I got green. Hey, what's up, Adam? Ethan, thank you guys for joining. Much appreciated. Yeah, you arrived on time. We're starting. I literally just went live. Everything's good? Nice. Okay. I did a little bit of changing with my mic, so I try to have the settings a bit better than last week, because when I went back and rewatched it, there's some kind of echoing going on in the background. Like, my room is just really big. So, I just tweaked the settings just a little bit, so hopefully it's a little bit better for you guys. But how have you guys all been? This video, or rather this stream, has been a bit postponed, a bit delayed, as you guys probably can already tell. This Y shirt, yeah, this is the holidays Y shirt that I got for Christmas by a friend of mine. Stop streaming so late? Really? Is it that late? It's only 7:30 here. Or, well, depending on where you are, I guess it's later, but I'm sorry. This is usually the time I'll always stream, just because it works for my sleep schedule and it works for my time zone. But that's the reason why that they're post-broadcasted, so you guys can check them out whenever you can. Oh, wow. Michael's trying to buy the two RWB posters and keeps getting them confused with RWBY posters. That actually happened. That actually happened with me. Someone sent me RWBY posters for Christmas, and 3 out of 4 of them were RWBY, and I got a random Red vs. Blue Season 13 poster. I think it had Sarge on the front. It was a red armor, so it was either Sarge, or Simmons, or someone that I've never seen, but it was red. Yeah, I'm Eastern Standard Time. I live in Massachusetts, so I am. It's 7:41 right now, actually. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. This episode was really great. This episode was awesome, and I knew about the episode. Well, I didn't know about the episode. I knew what the episode was going to be based on, just because, like, what I teased last week. The day before the episode came out, the Kuro Yuri thumbnail for the episode, so it was a flashback. But I do like how it didn't linger too much into the flashback. Like, we got Oscar and Ozpin at the beginning, and then it was shifting back and forth between Jean, RWBY, and Kuro Yuri, and then back in the day, Kuro Yuri with the flashback for Ren and Nora. So, and then, like, it got up to speed with what I'm assuming is not going to be the next episode, but what's going to be the finale. I really do think that the finale is going to be the whole Kuro Yuri face-off between whatever Grimm that is, with, Ren and Nora trying to catch up to it into the city with everybody else, and just craziness happening. Something's going to happen. Something's going to go down. Something big is going to happen that's going to keep us on our toes until Volume 5, which Volume 5 has been confirmed for fall 2017, so, I mean, that's not really a big surprise, but just to know it now rather than later, because we didn't know, and they'll probably have a release date for it at RTX, so that's all pretty cool. Wait, what the hell you guys got to see? Yeah, well, Chapter 10 is out. Yeah, Chapter 10's out. It's on the Rooster Teeth page. If you have a Rooster Teeth account, free account or paid account, doesn't matter. You literally go to the website, create a username, email, password, free account, boom, you can watch the episode right now. Actually, you could watch it as early as Sunday morning. So yeah, it's on the Rooster Teeth website. I got to see it on Saturday just because I'm a first member, so. Yeah, it's so weird saying Volume 5, honestly. But thank you guys all for joining the stream. I appreciate it very much. 280 actually just jumped up. 280 of you guys in here. Less than 5. Actually, we just hit the 5-minute mark, and right now 5 minutes have recently passed since I went live. So thank you guys very much. So for those of you guys who are probably wondering, I was supposed to do this live stream discussion on Sunday. So what happened was Friday night I did the live stream discussion for Chapter 9. Saturday was Chapter 10 that came out. I did my reaction. I did my my Patreon chat with people discussing the episode. That night I ended up getting sick, and Sunday came along, and I was like bedridden. Like I didn't leave my room all day, and I was sick up until like mid yesterday. Like I think it was like it was like afternoonish that I was actually feeling a lot better. So I've been sick these last couple of days, which is why now Wednesday the live stream discussion is coming out. So that's the only reason why that it was out, that it's coming out now versus then. And the only way you would have known that is if you follow me on Twitter. I let people who follow me on Twitter know, like, hey, it's being delayed. Some people thought it was because Kingdom Hearts was coming out, which Kingdom Hearts came out yesterday. The live stream was supposed to go up on Sunday, so this has been delayed prior to Kingdom Hearts coming out. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts came out. Actually, hold on, let me grab it. Right here. I actually ended up getting it, Kingdom Hearts 2.8, and you guys will be seeing a stream of that in the in the distant future, just because I'm going to be doing Kingdom Hearts content in March. No, April. April is when I'm going to be bringing Kingdom Hearts to my channel. RWBY Volume 4 finishes up next weekend. So this weekend is Chapter 11, next weekend is the finale. The week after that, I'm going to take a break from my channel and just reorganize things, like get videos that need to be out. The weekend after that, I'm going to be starting with a weekly release of Red vs. Blue. I kind of want to do I'm going to have like miscellaneous RWBY videos out, like any news information videos. The RWBY shorts that I did prior to Volume 4, a lot of you guys like that, so I'm going to be doing those. And just a bunch of miscellaneous things here and there. I'm going to be bringing my Twitch streams to YouTube for anybody who wants to be able to check those out. So I have a lot of things planned that are going to be in the works in the next couple of weeks. Hey, what's up, Flint, Matthew? Thank you guys for joining. Alec. Yeah, so Always Open is going to have a very special episode with Lindsay Jones, obviously Barbara Dunkelman, she's the host, Kara Eberly, and Aaron Zek. So basically the 4 girls of RWBY are going to be on an episode of Always Open. I think that's going to be the next week's episode, actually. Yeah, I did see that on Twitter today. I'm really stoked about that. Give me 1 second. 1 second, guys. I'm just checking something really quick. Making sure everything's good on my end before I go any further. Okay. Hey, what's up, Amber? Thank you for joining as well. I appreciate it, guys. But yeah, the episode was great. Like I said, flashbacks. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into the whole thing. But yeah, I'm just disappointed. Like, I'm not disappointed, but I'm just bummed. Like, it's super bittersweet. Like, where'd the volume go, you know? Like, Volume 4 is wrapping next weekend. Next Saturday is the finale. So, and then between that and RTX, it will probably be the release date. And then between RTX and the fall, we're just going to have to wait. Oh, RWBY Chibi, actually. We're getting Chibi Season 2 in May. And yes, you guys will be getting my reaction to the last 4 episodes. I haven't seen them yet, just because I've been super prioritized on Volume 4. But I haven't seen that yet, actually. I haven't seen the last 4 episodes. I don't know how they wrapped it up. I think the last episode I saw was with Neo and Torchwick, that episode where they joined. And then the episode prior was Cinder. So I'm wondering if they introduce any other characters or whatever, like, the last few episodes are. So you guys will be getting that. My hour-long RTX video will be coming out before the finale. That's something that's also going to be coming out. So you guys will have a couple of videos this week before my episode 10 reaction. Did you miss anything? No, I am literally just going on just doing some friendly banter with you guys in the chat, waiting for people to join just before I jump in and start. Let's see. Hey, what's up, Spencer? Thank you for joining. Good banter. 350 people in here. Thank you guys so much. Seriously, thank you guys. I know it's a school night on top of that too, so I'm pretty sure most of yous are gonna be around for a little bit as well. Yeah, it's the usual 20-minute banter. I always do this. I don't have snacks. I do have water though, so I have 2 bottles just because I feel like this is gonna be a very nitty-gritty kind of in the trenches episode that we're gonna get into. How would you like Volume 4 to end? On a good note? Like on a light note? Like no one dying, no one getting severely or gravely hurt? I don't know how they're going to end it. I don't know how long the episodes are going to be. Like, how are you going to... Like, okay, so I feel like the volume will end to an extent. Weiss leaving home. Yang hopefully being prepped and trained up to the point where she's comfortable leaving home. Maybe going to Vale to get clues or to decide like what she wants to do. If she wants to go after Ruby, if she wants to go after her mom. So that's for them too. For Blake, I'm wondering if Adam's going to approach her at some point this volume before the end of it. What's the deal with Sun? Is he going to be okay? And for Team Ranger, I'm pretty sure the showdown for them is going to be making it through this fight that's obviously coming up with the mysterious Grim that we're going to get into and talk about. So, ultimately, I just want it to be a lighter note. Like, I know that there are all these death flags and red flags up for potential deaths for Crow, Ren, Nora. I did a poll on Facebook I was just kind of intrigued of people's mindset, like what everyone was thinking in terms of, do you think anyone's going to come out of this volume unscathed? And 50% of people, like I think there was like 700 people who have voted so far. About half of them said that they suspect that no one's gonna die this volume, which I feel like that's a good thing, just because, and the more likely scenario, just because I feel like it'd be too edgy to kind of expect someone to die every volume, and at that point it'd be like, what the fuck, you know? So so hopefully that's the mindset that all of us are going into with the last 2 episodes. Yeah, I know Knuckle Volley. That's the mythological creature that a lot of people have been speculating and talking about that being related to the Grim based on what we've seen so far. We're gonna get into it. We'll definitely get into it and talk about it. Yeah, season 2 of Chibi's out in May. Yeah, I mentioned that a little bit ago. That's gonna be fun. Just because like, okay, like. At this point, since we already know kind of like the gist of Chibi, like what it is, obviously we're going to get some funny comedic relief and, you know, humor and stuff like that and just happy fun times. But I'm really looking forward to new Chibi characters. Like what new Chibi characters we're going to get. We're going to get Chibi Crow. We're going to get Penny. You know what I mean? Like I was expecting, like I was talking up the whole, like I want to see Cinder, I want to see Emerald, Mercury, Neo, Torchwick, and then we actually got those characters. So that's like the big thing for me is what Chibi characters are gonna make an appearance in season 2. You know, like, and obviously they would have to probably be characters who have a big substantial role in, like I don't expect to see Sage or Scarlet, and if I do, they're probably not gonna really voice act, so we don't see them that often, you know. Neptune and Mercury have become staples. The funniest episode was where they were going to get like all of this equipment and upgrades for fighting crime, and then like they come out of the shop and they're like super like they're just wearing everything and they can like barely walk, and then Emerald and Mercury just steal their bikes, and that's like the funniest. It's one of the funniest freaking episodes that I've seen. Yeah, Chibi Crow would be dope. Chibi Velvet, I think people would just lose their goddamn minds. Yeah, the Junior Detectives episode, that one. Semi-early. We've been at this for about 15 minutes, just getting into some friendly banter, some good banter of just talking and chatting before I start up. Chibi Ozpin would be very interesting. Like, we know he's in the universe because he did the narration for the Little Red Riding Hood play. But that'd be pretty cool to see him, like, Chibi Iron, like, just basically the professors, like, Port, like, just see, like, a fat Port. A chubby Chibi Port, that'd be pretty funny. And then Ooplik, oh man, I'd love to see a Chibi Ooplik. Ooplik's one of my favorite characters. I don't think we'd really see characters from this volume, so I don't think we'd see, like, I don't think we'd get, like, a Chibi Salem, or a Chibi Oscar, or anything like that, or any of, like, the council people, like, the people on, like, Salem's side, or anything like that. Chibi Tyrion would be sick, though. Like, they need to do an, like the pillow fight episode, they need to do, like, an action episode of Chibi. Like, just do, like, a serious action fight in Chibi. That'd be so cool. I can't picture Tyrion in a school setting, though. Like, yeah, Emerald, Mercury, and Cinder are in there, but they're kind of, like, playing... They're a part of the comedy, you know what I mean? Like, they're not like, oh, yeah, let's try to find the Fall Maiden, and they're not, like, nefarious or, like, super ridiculously serious in their plans. But Tyrion... I can't picture Tyrion in Chibi at all. Like, I really can't. Huh. What did you miss? Nothing, actually. You're joining... I mean, you're roughly on... I mean, we're just talking right now. I usually dedicate the first 20 minutes or so to people joining the stream and chatting with you guys and just, you know, talking off the top of my head before we get into the discussion of the episode. So you haven't missed anything. Or if any of you guys who are recently joining, you guys haven't missed anything yet. Yeah, Chibi Ooplik would be great. Oh, Bob Jones, thank you for the compliment. I love the shirt, too. The shirt's pretty awesome. I haven't worn it, really, since Christmas, but I was like, oh, I'll just put on a different... Like, I was going to wear, like, a random shirt, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to wear this shirt. This shirt's pretty cool. And I always try to, like, match what I wear with the show. Like, I'm always wearing, like, something RWBY-related whenever I make a RWBY video. Oh, the stacked boxes in the back look wonky. Yeah, because they, like, over time, like, I've had, like, the RWBY box is at the very base, and I've had that for about 3 years, so it's kind of, like, expanded just because of, like, temperature and stuff. And I have room for one more box at the very top. So, for the Emerald, Torchwick, Cinder, and Mercury figures, I don't know where the boxes are gonna go, but... Or I might just, I don't know if I'll replace them, because I do like those boxes, honestly. I don't know. I'll figure something out. Leaning Tower of RWBY. Yeah, basically, it's my RWBY Tower. That's what I've dubbed it, at least. Huh. Do I like K-pop? I don't go out of my way to listen to K-pop, but if I hear it, I'll listen to it, but it's never something that I'll go out of my way for. Am I all set for RTX? Currently, the only thing that I've been able to buy for RTX is my ticket. Like my RTX badge ticket. I don't have, I'm still managing my plane ticket and my hotel stay. So, it's 1/3 the way done. On top of the fact I'm simultaneously saving up for my computer, which is coming along, fairly well, actually. So, oh, hold on. I gotta turn my phone off because I'm not trying to hear this. Give me 1 second, guys. I don't want to be getting any kind of notifications while I'm doing this, just because I feel like it's kind of rude. Are you a Guardian? No. This is going to be my second RTX. I want to go at least one more time after this year before I decide on to do Guardianship. What kind of music am I usually into? So I'm going to get into questions for the 1 more minute, and then we're going to start, just for any of you guys who are wondering. It's not going to be like a Q&A the whole time, but what kind of music am I into? I love how someone mentioned, do you listen to K-pop? And I was like, not really. I listen to a lot of J-rock. I listen to a lot of Japanese metal, like rock music. Some of my favorite bands would be like Flow, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, 1OK Rock, Old Codex, Studio Dive Foundation. Those are a lot of international bands. Some like in city, like some of the like national bands would be like A Day to Remember. I like Sleeping with Sirens, very few and far between. There's only a few songs that I'll handpick out of that. Coheed and Cambria I really like. Kendrick Lamar, Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi's my favorite hip-hop artist, like, of all time. Kid Cudi, Lupe Fiasco. Those are just some. I listen to a lot of, like, Japanese music just because of anime, like, openings and stuff like that. Like, that kind of opened the door for, like, a lot of Japanese bands that I like. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is my favorite Japanese band, though. Like, they're my favorite. Like, if any of you guys haven't heard... If any of you guys have watched Hunter x Hunter 2011, they did the first outro for that, which is called I'm drawing a blank right now. That's really weird. Wow, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank. It's Fear and Loathing Las Vegas. They do the first ending for the song. They have like 4 albums out, so I'm drawing a blank when it comes to the name of the song that they do. Yeah, the chat's really fast, and there's slow mode on the chat, actually. Oh, Baby Metal. Yeah, Baby Metal is really good. I really like Baby Metal as well. Baby Metal is definitely up there. Yeah, they did the Parasite one as well. That song is called Let Me Hear, which somehow I can remember that one, but I can't remember the Hunter one. But yeah, so thank you guys all for joining. There's 450 of you in here. We've gotten through about 22 minutes, so we're going to be starting the live stream discussion for Chapter 9. For Chapter 10, rather. And it was a really good one. Very, very good one. How do you slow-mo chat? Actually, speaking of which, is slow-mo chat on? The chat is actually gone. Yeah, Just Awake. There you go. That's what it's called. Just Awake. Give me 1 second before we start. I just need to make sure slow mode is actually on. The chat is going rather fast, and I don't want to be lost in kind of reading the chat and chatting at the same time. So give me 1 second. Just gonna check the settings, make sure it's actually on. Yes, it is actually on. So we're good on that. Good on that side. One moment. Yeah, slow mode is on, trust me. I never take it off, but I just decided to double check because I looked for 1 second and then like 5 comments came up, which was pretty nuts. Yeah, 462 people are here. Yeah, so we're going to be getting into the episode, and I was very shocked at the beginning because we got Oscar. So I think we've gotten Oscar like I want to say every 2 episodes. I know that's not true, but it feels like every so often, like when we're expecting a completely, like I knew Kuro Yuri was going to be the topic of the episode, and that's what I was expecting from the get-go, but then boom, Oscar comes in for like a quick scene, and then he's gone. So like in the back of my head, I always have to think, okay, there's a minor role that's going on the back end of this volume that's eventually going to snowball and be a lot more significant and important. And that's him. Like, he was in the first episode. I think he showed up again in the 3rd episode once, like, we got, like, when Ospen said hi to him. We thought it was in the mirror, but it was actually in his head. And then a few episodes from that, he's actually talking to him again, and now we're getting a bit more in terms of, like, Oscar coming to terms with his role in this whole Grandmaster plan. Ospen explaining himself, explaining the situation. It seems like he explained everything, like the maidens, the magic concept of the world, and kind of like the grandiose plan that's in effect that Oscar needs to kind of take a hold, like kind of basically be a part of at this point, even though he doesn't want to. I feel like he needs to be a part of it because Ozpin is the one that's really going to set things in motion, but Ozpin's a sitting duck because he can't like control this kid or anything like that. So Yeah, Rooster Teeth killed my meme game too. Like they had a scene right here with Oscar, and he was like it was that scene right there, but it was panned from behind him. So like it showed like his hand, and his hand was just open while he was just like looking at his backpack, ready to leave. And I was just like, please clench your fist so I can make an Arthur meme, and he didn't, and I was so fucking pissed. I wasn't like literally mad, but I was just like my ongoing thing that's been in every single episode. Like, sure, there's different scenes that I could have grabbed, but they're not as prominent. They're not as, like, clear and actual, like, right there for a meme opportunity. So they killed my meme vibe, whether they discovered it during production or if that was just, you know, a different scenario, different situation. My RT meme game has been thwarted. But yeah, so like I was saying, I look at the moments with Oscar, and I see, like, I understand this is Oscar going through all of this for the first time, but it's like a dual experience because I feel like this is I'm getting development for Ozpin right now. Like Oscar leaving home against his will and kind of walking this path by himself, being really like thinking to himself, this is crazy, this is ridiculous, like none of this makes any sense, but it feels like it's the right thing to do. I feel like those are all parallel emotions that Ozpin can like sympathize with like wholeheartedly because he's gone through this exact same thing. Albeit we don't know how, like we don't know the circumstances of like is Ozpin doing the same thing with this kid as the person who did it with Ozpin was? You know what I mean? Like Ozpin's in a war with Salem, and in order for Ozpin to kind of forward his side of things, he needs Oscar to comply. But was that the same scenario? You know what I mean? Like whoever was in Ozpin's mind, was this person also in a war with Salem? Like, so basically what I'm saying is all of these generations of consciousness that have been passing from person to person, are they all trying to continue this ongoing fight with Salem? Or is this just like the point where, you know, Ozpin feels like this is his battle and he can do what he can with whatever power he's been granted? That's something that I'm curious about, which is very intriguing, which means like Salem must be like immortal or must be like a demigod of some sort if it doesn't apply to her. Like, if this consciousness has been fighting with Salem for eons and eons, and it just transfers and it starts, like, you basically respawn, try again. If that lifetime doesn't last, then you try again in the next life. That's something that I've wondered ever since we kind of figured out that this similar thing has been happening to Ozpin. Like, what's the significance of this consciousness swap? Like, why now is it, like, if this is what Ozpin's been dealing with, how far back does this go? Yeah, like that's another thing too, like how, like at what point, you know what I mean, like because that's a very that's like you mentioned that's very strange because it's like someone mentioned in the chat, like at what point, like is Ozpin like the culmination of all the previous consciousness efforts that have kind of culminated into like all the knowledge that he knows, and at what point, like, does Ozpin just stay in Oscar's head forever? Was someone always in Ozpin's head forever, like telling him what choices to make and what decisions are best for the, you know, for their plans or whatnot? Will Ozpin eventually take over Oscar and assume the role as the new Ozpin, or you know what I mean? Those are the deep in the trenches questions that I'm like wondering, like, how far deep does this go? Like, how far does this concept right now go with the story? But yeah, I did like this part a lot. Like, I liked it for the fact that this is subsequent Ozpin development of learning Ozpin's past through Oscar's development of him going through this whole plan and figuring out the world and figuring out this grand master plan that he has yet to fully comprehend, but just willing to trust Ozpin and willing to go along with it to kind of help mankind, which honestly they really need all the help they can get at this point with the whole plan of dividing people and, you know, trying to destroy all the schools, get all the relics, get all the maiden power, just be like an OP mega hacks kind of person. Yeah, the show does definitely has some Avatar vibes to it. I would say that would be more along the lines of the maiden concept of like the maidens have this power, this like unimaginable power, which is like the power of nature and stuff like that. And when they die, it goes to somebody else. That is very Avatar-esque. Granted, it has its own spin on it, but I still think it's an inspiration. You know what I mean. It's like an inspirational kind of thing. Like all animation is kind of like that, or all forms of art and production, and anything like to do with creativity. I feel like everything derives from something. Like that was definitely like a big kind of I think that was something that Monty usually mentioned when it came to, if you want to create something, if you want to do something, you have to understand it. If you want to emulate it, you have to understand it to its core, and you have to make a spin on it and make it your own, but at the same time give credit to that original work. Like RWBY is basically Red Riding Hood, but it's Ruby Roads. It's not like a legitimate like carbon copy. Oh my god, spoiler alert everywhere. Well, yeah, that's another thing. If you haven't watched the episode, I prefer that you go watch the episode and then come back and check out the stream, or check it out post upload if you don't want to be spoiled. Do you think it was rushed for Oscar to leave? No, I don't, because if you have to understand that weeks have been passed. Like, weeks have gone by since the show has started. Like, we're getting 12 like, to us it might feel short, that, like, wow, he's already complying and agreeing to go with Oscar, like, with Ozpin to this wherever, like, to go to Haven after the whole time he was basically standing his ground, like, I'm not listening to you, you're fake, you're not real, leave me alone, get out of my head. But as the weeks passed, they probably opened up to one another, probably talked about things. Ozpin mentioned, like, hey, this is what's happening, and this is the outcome if we just sit here and do nothing. So time is passing rapidly in in Volume 4. It's not like a day-by-day scenario, which originally I kind of thought it was. When I first started watching it, I was like, wow, like, so what's happening with RWBY isn't happening at the same time simultaneously. Like, the next episode, if we get Yang, that's not the next day. That's, like, weeks on its own. And, that's just something that you have to take into consideration. No, I mean, at the end of the day, it is Oscar's choice. Like, he definitively has a choice. It's not through coercion. It's not through fear or intimidation. He can literally decide, hey, I'm going to help you with whatever. Because Ozpin can't do anything, you know what I mean? Like, Ozpin is presumed dead from everybody else's perspective. Or rather, Salem and Cinder think he's dead. Crow and everyone else doesn't know where he is. They only know that he's missing. And if Oscar doesn't do anything, shit's gonna happen on the back end, and there's nothing that Ozpin can do about it. So, and he even mentioned it too. He's like, this all feels crazy, but it's a morality thing. Like, he feels this is the right thing to do, so he's gonna go with it. But yeah, like I mentioned, I just like this because it symbolizes kind of like, it symbolizes Oscar's development and Oscar's like, he's stepping up to become a more prominent character. Like, right now, he's just nobody. He's like a nobody. Like, he's only important because he's tethered to Ozpin. But I feel like over time, he's going to become this person who knows all of this information and knowledge, and maybe Ozpin will train him or teach him the ways of magic or semblances. Because, I mean, like, he's like a random farmer kid who doesn't have, like, seemingly doesn't have what it takes to, like, to be in this situation, but he has potential now, like, just like Jean. Like, Jean was not a fighter by any stretch of the imagination in Volume 1. Guy didn't even know about semblances and aura, didn't even know how to activate or unlock his, and Oscar has that opportunity, you know what I mean? He has the opportunity to become, like, a huntsman or someone of status and someone to be taken seriously in the show, but for right now, he's only important because Ozpin's important. Does he even have a semblance? Everyone has a semblance. They just have to tap into it and awaken it through their aura. So everyone has he has the opportunity. He just needs to it just has to, and actually him and Ospin's aura are combined, so in a way he could potentially tap into Ospin's powers and Ospin's semblance and aura, in theory, I guess. So really like this scene. And then we come here. This was really funny because when I first saw this, I was like, Ospin, you're the fucking headmaster of one of the 4 kingdom schools, and you can't help this. Like, he was like, I'm afraid you're gonna have to solve this problem on your own. I'm like, dude, you have to be loaded to some extent, like as a teacher, as a huntsman, as something, you know what I mean? And I just love how he's like, yeah, I can give you all this knowledge, I can, you know, equip you with, you know, the information that you need for the task ahead, but a train ticket, yeah, you're gonna have to figure that out on your own. So I thought that was kind of funny. Also, shout out to the to like the environmental effects. I really like the thunder in the background, which, yeah, we've seen lightning and thunder and rain and stuff like that from the Higanbana episode, but I love how it was in a more rural area. It wasn't like in a town and stuff like that. I just liked seeing that. I honestly feel like I really like seeing the in-between portions of the world of Remnant, like walking on a dirt path or walking through trees and stuff like that. I really do like that for the world, just because I feel like we're always at a structure, which obviously is preferable to be somewhere secure and safe versus like out in the wilderness where you have no fucking idea if you're gonna make it out alive or not. But Ospin left his wallet at Beacon. But yeah, I just thought it was funny. I just thought it was funny. He was like, I'm afraid you'll have to. I'm afraid you're on your own with this one. It's like, really, dude? Like, you don't have like a secret PIN number or anything like that. So I thought that was kind of funny. But I was genuinely shocked when Hazel showed up. Just because it's like, this dude. So first off, let's play. I just want to show off like a little parallel going on here. So first off, you had, okay, so Hazel got told by Salem, hey, you're to meet with the leader of the White Fang. Adam Taurus has arranged a meeting for you to kind of persuade Sienna Khan for their efforts, I'm assuming. And she also gave Tyrion the same exact she gave everyone their orders at the same time. Depending on where exactly the White Fang leader is, I'm assuming, I don't know, I wouldn't say Vacuo, because if they are located on the Dragon continent, it's right there. It's like right below that continent. Tyrion was asked to hunt down Ruby, who is on Anima, the continent of Mistral, on the other side of the fucking world, literally, the other side of the Remnant map. Unless he was just Trackstar moding it the whole time and got there. He got there before, like, he got to his objective and is already on the way back before Hazel has even, like, reached wherever it is that he's supposed to go. And he's just taking his time. He's just walking, you know, just nonchalant, like, no car, no train, not running or anything, not using a semblance or anything to help him get there faster. So, well, yeah, I know there's an ocean, but I mean, like, in terms of where their both starting points are, to where, like, let's just say Vacuo is where the White Fang's headquarters are, and that's where, that's where Sienna Khan's located. I'm just saying let's just say. Because if they were both in Mistral, then it would make more sense for Tyrion and Hazel to travel together, as opposed to it being anywhere else, which I highly doubt it's in Vale, and obviously it's not in Atlas. So I just found that, like, wow, like, Tyrion's, like, I think of, like, the rabbit and the tortoise and the hare. Like, the rabbit, which would be Tyrion, like, ran, like, just got to his objective as quickly as possible, and he just got, like, wrecked. Like, sure, he did damage here and there, he put up a fight, but he ended up being unsuccessful in, like, his objective. And then you have Hazel here, who's just walking, taking his sweet time by himself, no one to talk to, just with him and his thoughts, and he's just making very slow progress, but I feel like he's going to be successful in whatever objective he has to accomplish. But yeah, it was very odd that he crossed paths with this guy of all people. Like, this is like one of the sworn enemies, I assume, of of Ozpin. If Ozpin is fighting with Salem, and they all suspect that he's dead, and they're all trying to destroy all of the other kingdoms. So he's not a good guy, but he's like a... what's it called? Like neutral evil, I think? Like he... No. I think it's heroic evil. I forgot what like spectrum he's on, but he's basically like, I think for him, because like no, like Tyrion was just like, whatever, I'm just fucking a crazy psychotic person who just wants to kill and have fun and, you know, do whatever to please Salem. You had Watts, who like was making fun of Cinder and stuff like that, and it seems like they don't get along, so they kind of had their whole banter. But Hazel seems like someone who, he's like, give me a task, I'll complete it to the best of my ability, I'll get shit done. It seems like he's doing this not because he's evil, but because he wants something at the end of this. Like, he wants to benefit in some way, shape, or form. Like, he's not evil, because he could, like, why the fuck is he gonna go bother Oscar? Like, what's the point of him helping Oscar right here? Like, he, like, slams the machine, and he gives him the ticket, and he's like, don't let such a small obstacle block your path. And to me, that tells me that he's not evil. You know what I mean? Like, he's not lawful evil? Is that what it is? Or chaotic neutral. He's principled. Thank you. That's what it is. Like, he's not evil, and maybe his intentions aren't bad, but the way, like, the fact that he's confiding in Salem to achieve his goals is what makes him, like, not a good person. So that's the first thing about him that was very interesting. Like, the way he's going about things, the way that he just stopped and helped a random stranger for no reason, and he just left him like some life lessons, like, don't let such a small obstacle block your path. Like, you can do anything. Don't let something like this stop you. And he doesn't know where he's going, what his objective is, what his grand master, like, how important this kid is, and how crazy it's going to be if they end up crossing paths again on a much grander scheme. Yeah, he's so brutish. He feels like an earthbender, like, no bullshit. Like, he definitely feels, like, super powerful, super, like... And it's an Ozpin of all people, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we all kind of put Ozpin on this pedestal, just because we don't know that much about him. We know he's a headmaster. You know, the fact that he was able to stand his own against Cinder, which in my opinion, I feel like he lost on purpose, based on the fact of, A, he probably knew he wasn't going to, quote-unquote, die, like, officially, like legitimately die, and B... because if he did kill Cinder, Cinder's Fall Maiden powers would have gone to someone random, or if Salem's able to obtain those, it probably would have went to her. So in my opinion, I feel like Ozpin could have beaten Cinder. And a lot of people draw parallels, myself included, draw parallels with Ozpin and the Wizard, with the Remnant fairy tale of the Great, not the fairy tale, the Remnant, like the story of the Great War, the World of Remnant last week. Maybe he also has connections to the king based on the scepter, you know, the whole thing with him having a scepter, and that's similar to Ozpin's cane weapon. So Ozpin just has all of these links that tie back to him, and it makes him feel extremely powerful. It makes me feel like he's extremely important, that there's more to him than meets the eye, and the fact that he's been fighting a war with Salem just tells me that he's a lot more ancient and important than anybody else in the world, aside from Salem. No, I don't think Ozpin lost, to be completely honest. If he lost, in my opinion, he lost on purpose. Hazel's Shia LaBeouf, like, just do it, like, make your dreams come true, like, get on the train no matter what. But yeah, so based on all of those things with Ozpin, for Ozpin to tell Oscar, this is someone from my past, but the big point of, he's not someone to take lightly. Like, this guy is serious, this guy means business, and you don't want to get in his way, you don't want to be on his bad side. Makes me super intrigued to see in terms of power, like, where he stands. I personally feel like for everyone that was at Salem's table, he's the strongest in terms of strength. Maybe his semblance adds to that, but the fact of Ozpin having to say that's someone you don't want to fuck with, coming from Ozpin, that's something that you definitely have to take into, like, you definitely have to heed his advice, and, like, don't mess with him or get in his way. So, Hazelnut. Yeah, so I'm very intrigued by him, especially. The only other person we haven't seen this volume is Watts, and I'm assuming we're probably not going to see him at this point. The only thing that I could really be, the one thing that I'll be super fucking satisfied with seeing how it plays out, based on the fact that I made a mention of this before, is if like, let's just say like the end credit, let's just say somehow Team Ranger gets to Mistral, and they get to Haven Academy, and like Crow gets better. Let's just say in the next 2 episodes, which I highly doubt that's going to happen, they somehow make it there. They make it to the headmaster's office. Crow walks in the room. He's like, "Oh my gosh, it's so great to see you. We have to talk about our plans, blah, 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 blah." And it turns out that the headmaster is Watts. That would be fucking nuts. That would be so ridiculous, because it's like, he's a double agent, and how is this going to play into Mistral falling and everything else happening? I think that would be pretty cool. Not in terms of like, oh, fuck off. Now, we know he's a villain, but they don't know he's a villain, so how are they going to handle that? But I think that'd be great in terms of like upping the suspense and the tension in terms of how is Mistral going to fall. Because I personally feel like all the kingdoms are going to... I honestly feel like all the kingdoms are going to fall, but at that point, it's going to be, how do our heroes combat the darkness at that point? Because no series like reaches an end goal, and then the Grandmaster plan isn't realized by the end. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just feel like that'd be kind of cool. Yeah. Or if like what's his name? You know how Jacques and Whitley are going into town to meet with some of Jacques' businessmen. If Watts is one of them, you know what I mean? Because he seems very business-esque, like the way he dresses, and just his formality, like how he looks, and he has like high expectations and stuff like that. He's very different than everyone else at the table. So I very much feel like that would be pretty cool to see him in some regard being a businessman, but also being someone who's influential, especially when it comes to helping Salem out. But ultimately, I just really like this scene, and also the fact of this is someone from Ozpin's past. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. It'd be super crazy to suspect, but there was one moment in Volume 3. It was at the end of the episode. It was during Salem's speech. She mentioned, like, she was kind of almost talking directly to Ozpin when she was like, "Your faith in mankind was not misplaced." And, like, from their conversation in Volume 1, when they were talking about, so... what did she say? Man born from darkness... She was basically talking about, like, there will be no victory in strength, and then Ozpin was like, well, perhaps strength can be found in things that you've long forgotten. Things that require a gentle, more honest soul. Makes me think that, like, they... like, are far back. Like, they know each other way back in the day. Maybe they were all, like, together. Maybe they all were a part of a group. And Ozpin decided, I need to put my faith in mankind, not in, like, this. Not in, like, this dark bullshit that's going on. So he left, and everybody else is still like, okay, like, well, we'll deal with him in time, but we're going to deal with things our way. He's going to try to combat us. Let's try to, you know what I mean? Like, I honestly feel that, because... he's in a war with Salem, and he also knows Hazel. So it's like, I assume the reason why he doesn't know Cinder is because she's probably the newest recruit. So I'm just wondering, like, on all of that, like, how does Ozpin tie into knowing him and Salem? And how far back does that go? He's like, fuck this shit, I'm out. Pretty much. Yeah. Ozpin definitely feels very Gandalf-esque. Puts his faith in mankind, which would make sense, too, if he was the wizard, because the wizard was someone who was isolated from the world. He stayed in his cabin, he didn't go outside, he didn't associate with anybody, and he was just like a hermit, and he just watched life from his cabin. And the maidens, who were originally humans before they became maidens, they were the ones that kind of introduced him to this world and this life. So in a way, they could have probably been what made him decide to put his faith in humanity to give his powers to them. The question that would be like, why would he be there prior? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what happened prior to him being in that cabin that would make him kind of seclude himself from the world. Yeah, or the wizard was the first of mankind. That'd be pretty crazy too. That'd be great, honestly, if that was true. That's not too far-fetched to think, Java. Because to me, I honestly think Salem is a descendant of the God of Darkness, or she's the goddess of darkness. But it wouldn't be too far to realize, but I really hope it's not, because it would literally remind me of the whole Naruto concept, like the God of Light, he kind of descended down to Ozpin, and then the God of Darkness descended down to Salem, and they're basically the equivalents, and they're still in this fucking feud, still fighting it out, and it just reminds me of Naruto. I didn't like that. I didn't like how Naruto and Sasuke weren't even themselves. They were descendants of a long and spiraling fight that was destined to happen no matter what, and their actions were never truly their actions. It was the actions of destiny and fate. So it kind of made me feel super misleading of everything that these guys have done doesn't matter because it was bound to happen anyway. So I really hope... yeah, I'm still ranting. I'm sorry, guys. So I just hope that it goes a different route. It's not that. So, yeah, and the God's Abandoned Remnant, like every other freaking god out there, honestly. They do something, and then they just leave, and then they just let shit happen. But yeah, so... long story short, I guess, I really liked this scene, and it just gave me a lot more to look forward to in terms of Hazel, just because we don't know what he's about yet. We'll probably see him maybe in Volume 5, Volume 6, I don't know, maybe... I doubt we'll see him for the rest of the volume, and hopefully we see Watts again, and hopefully we learn more about how Ozpin knows him. So, we got that, and you guys, I'm going to disappear from the screen for a little bit, just to kind of give you guys a grand scale of Oniyuri. This place looks like shit, dude. So we obviously speculated that it was Ren's hometown where he grew up, and that's the main reason why he didn't want to go back home, because he didn't want to go through that experience of reliving what happened when he was a kid, essentially. And I guess he hasn't been back here since then. Which oh yeah, I meant Kuroyuri. I think I said Oniyuri, my bad. Yeah. But it's like this is like a village like in stasis. Like this, all the damage that you see here, obviously over time it's desolate, it's barren, and it's just in stasis. Like I'm pretty sure no one's been here since the attack, and it's just like a grave reminder of like what happens when you live outside of the village, like when you choose to live outside the kingdoms. You know what I mean? Like I feel like all of these people know. Like, they know, like, what they're getting themselves into when they decide to live here. Like, the guy from Anima, I'm sorry, not Anima, the first village in, like, the first episode, he was like, you know, this lifestyle, like, we decide to choose this lifestyle, but it's like, at any point, like, something like this can happen and it just fucks you over. Like, with the Berengal, I feel like the show really shows you how severe it is and how frequent stuff like this happens, you know what I mean? Like, it happened to Shion, it happened to that village during the Volume 4 character short, it happened years ago here, and it happened so often that, like, the World of Remnant really didn't do justice when it was, like in Volume 2, they were like, you know, roaming nomads in villages are not uncommon, yet neither is their tendency to disappear overnight. It's like, this shit happens, like, every day, I feel like, you know what I mean? And unless there's a huntsman around, shit's gonna keep happening. And, you know, we had that huntsman... you know, nameless huntsman that ended up dying. We had the nameless huntsman that ended up dying, but it turns out that it's like the Grimm that ended up killing that village or just ransacking them afterwards. finishing them off essentially, I guess was too strong for them. I guess in the aftermath of being attacked by bandits, but I don't know. It just makes me feel really like worse for these villages and for the people that live there. Like this episode was a very sad episode, and because we already knew it was gonna happen, you know what I mean? Like, and I mentioned it in my reaction, like before I watched the episode, I was like, it's gonna be fun, it's gonna be happy, it's gonna be adorable, and it's gonna be great to see. But we all know how it ends, you know, and that was what I was bracing myself for. Like, how is it gonna end? You know what I mean? Like, how is Ren gonna get out of this? How does Nora come into this? Like, how do they how have they survived for this long? And it was very sad to see, you know what I mean? And we got firsthand, like, this is what happens. This is the typical run-of-the-mill business that happens when a Grimm comes through, or waves of Grimm, or bandits, or whatever, just come in, pillage, and, you know, just kill people. Yeah, Remnant's not nice. Remnant is very unforgiving, and it doesn't discriminate, you know what I mean? It's like, so the strong weak, and, I mean, the strong survive and the weak die out, you know what I mean? And it was just unfortunate, you know what I mean? I don't know. I felt very bad. I felt very bad for Ren and Nora after everything that happened, because it's just like, you know, they were kids. Like, they couldn't do anything, you know what I mean? Even if they wanted to, they couldn't do anything. They just had to sit and watch. So, I was just very scared for them and very anxious to see how they were going to make it out. And, you know, obviously them two, you know, Team Ranger's already going through their own things. Like, Ren and Nora decided to go a separate way. I guess they figured going their separate way was the best thing for them traumatically, so they didn't have to, like, go through this. And them two they don't really know, like, what this village is all about, so it doesn't really matter for them to go through it. And obviously Jean realized, like, I'm pretty sure I know why Ren didn't want to come here. Like, because Ren never acts like that, you know what I mean? He's always cool, calm, collected, which, in a way, I kind of think we know why. But at the same time, it's like, we've never seen Ren act that way. So when you see a character acting out of character, you know, no pun intended, it's just interesting to kind of see the enveloping reasons of why of why. And I've been wondering about Ren and Nora since, I think, Volume 2, since Ren's original mission, you know what I mean? Because Ren's mission in Volume 2, when they were shadowing Huntsman, was to shadow the village, was to shadow a sheriff of a nearby village. And I think that was kind of Ren's duty of, like, I know what it's like to live in a village, I was raised in one myself, and, you know what I mean? It's just his element, you know what I mean? To be able to kind of live, like, he's grown now, he's a lot more mature, and that's kind of the lifestyle that he lives, so it's only comfortable for him to go through something like that. So there's a fuck ton of context clues, even up to Volume 3, that gives you a very that paints the picture perfectly of, like, Ren and Nora's lifestyle and how they were raised and how they grew up. But yeah, so we end up getting, I really liked this transition here. It was like it was the withered lotus flower, and then it transitions into the flashback. I thought, like, this right here, like, I think that's, like, cool as fuck. Like, I love how that transition worked. Because initially, like, when they were going down, I was like, oh god, is there a Grimm under there or something? And then it transitioned into the flashback. And I like how it went back and forth from flashback to present with Jean and Ruby. They had their little dialogue, and then it goes back to the flashback, and then it goes to Ren and Nora. I just love the transitions. Like, it worked really well with not giving us too much, not having the entire episode dedicated to flashbacks, and kind of pushing the plot forward for what's going to happen in the future, but also giving us much needed development with the two characters. But yeah, this was very touching. This was, like, I think this is the first, like, legitimate flashback of a character backstory, like, as far back as possible, like childhood, like Ren and Nora. And, like, we got little hints here and there, like, of Ruby and Yang's, you know, upbringings and stuff. But I'm really glad that we got it with these two, because they're basically main characters of Team Juniper, but they're in the main cast for Volume 4. And we got to see Ren. Like, I that's another good transition right there too. Like, he just comes up to the side, and his semblance is the flower too. It's the lotus flower, but his flowers, his semblance. I mean, not his semblance. I'm sorry. His symbol, like his emblem, is of a flower, which I think is pretty cool. and it just worked really well with symbolizing like his backstory and where he came from, which was great. And like we get into this, and his mom, like he had the best fucking parents, you know, like another character with a supportive mother figure, like bar none, you know what I mean? Like very loving, very caring. I just loved it, you know what I mean? Like, and it's so, like the whole episode, I'm just like, I know how this ends. It doesn't end good, you know what I mean? Like I have to savor this moment because it's like it's very short lived. Like 18 minutes, 17 minutes was great for an episode, but for knowing, like I just wanted to savor in the like in the good times because it was just gonna go to shit really quick. So I just love I love the interaction right here, like. And we don't usually get this kind of dynamic, which is son and mother. I think this is the first one that we've actually seen son and mother, just because the majority of the characters are females. But I really liked this. So like they were talking about like the water flower in the garden, and like the father's a hunter, which was strange because it's like, okay, his father what the hell does his father hunt? Does his father hunt like animals? Because we do know there are animals in the world of Remnant, not the world of Remnant, but in the yes, the world of Remnant, but not the fuck off. That's like a pun in of itself. Not the world of Remnant segments, but the actual world itself. Like we saw the horse, like the horse that Amber was riding in Volume 3, which that's a shitty example, but yeah, they could definitely hunt for animals. We barely ever see animals, like not domesticated, like not like pets or stuff like that, but like livestock. So she mentioned that he was off hunting, but he's not a huntsman. You know what I mean? Like, he even mentioned it himself. He's like, when the Grimm showed up, that he was like, no, we need a huntsman. So it's like, do you hunt for like, livestock? Which I'm assuming, because they don't have any type of kingdom support. You know, if they had kingdom support, they'd have huntsmen helping them, and so I'm assuming they do fend for themselves in terms of grabbing, like, getting livestock to survive as a community. He probably hunts turkeys and cows. Yeah, this is a severe lack of animals. I mean, freaking what's his name? Oscar lives on a farm, and he doesn't even have like cows or pigs or chickens. Like all we see is like hay, and we see him like tending the fields. So like there's like vegetation and stuff like that. When he has like running water, like not running water, but like water through like the well. So it's like they have very basic living essentials, like, and he's on a farm, so you expect to see stuff like that. He has a barn, and he has hay and everything, but, I don't know, and, like, you saw, like, the wide plain of, like, the wide open, like, ranch kind of area, like, like, surrounding his house and stuff, so it's just like, do they have livestock? We just never see it, you know what I mean? And the bakery, like, that's really strange. Well, they must have, they must, because Yang didn't get those turkey hands that she was fighting with. They didn't come from anywhere. Like, they didn't just come out of the blue. And like swordfish, so I guess there are forms of food that they have to like hunt for. They're invisible. That'd be super funny, just like seeing them like hunting like an invisible cow or something. Chickens and turkeys and swordfish and like sausage links and shit like that. Like, obviously they have people that they hunt, or livestock that they hunt for. Turkey Grimm. Yeah, she does like tuna a lot, so they have tuna. There you go. That's so fucking clever, and I can't believe I didn't think of that. Like, Volume 2, Episode 1, like, most of the food that you see there is, like, poultry and meat and stuff like that, so it's like, what the fuck? How about that cat bread? Rapier wasps. Oh, those are insects, but... Yeah, and then they had a bakery, too, so obviously they get wheat and stuff like that to make, like, the cakes and stuff and whatnot. But I love this, like, I don't know if it was everyone in the village, maybe it was just their family, but, like, they all wore similar, like, attire, and Ren even wears that now. But I just love this dynamic. Like, the mother was just very motherly to her kid, you know what I mean? Like, another positive female mother figure of the show. Up there with Kali, definitely. Very short-lived as a parent, but it would have been incredible to just see. But then again, like, it's so fucked up to say, but like we wouldn't get the Ren that we know now if this didn't happen. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that I'd prefer like, oh, I'm glad she's dead because her death kind of inspired her son to, you know, mature and grow. But it's like you should never have to go through that in order, you know, you should never have to go through that kind of upbringing. You know what I mean? So. I just really loved, I just love this. I love this a lot. And, so she, like, gives him a Lien, and she's like, oh, go get something for your dad. He's off hunting, so, you know, when he gets back, he'll, you know, you have a little present thing for him. And he was like, oh, I'll get a water flower for him. And then she was like, go get something. So, super fucking funny. I'm gonna say this right now. This guy, the first thing that I said when I saw this guy, I'm like, when did Shikamaru, join, like, RWBY? He looks exactly like Shikamaru, like literally, like from the side before he pulls out the toy weapons. He looks literally like exactly like the hair. I think is more than anything what like is the resemblance of Shikamaru from Naruto. If you don't know who Shikamaru is, pull up another tab, pull up Shikamaru, and then look at this guy in Shikamaru and tell me this guy isn't like an older version. Dude, I swear to God, he is. Dying of laughter. He really is! Like, I swear to God! And I love the hammer concept that comes back at the end. I mentioned that in the reaction too. I was like, and I didn't even know, like, I was just like, okay, he has a sword and a hammer. I was like, oh, that's really cool that he has a hammer because Nora uses a hammer. And that'd be pretty cool if Ren ends up buying the hammer, meets her, and then gives it to her, and that's how they became friends. Clearly under different circumstances, but the fact that it was brought up at the end was really cool. So this was pretty cool. And then this guy right here, he's like, sake please, and he gives him the money for alcohol, and the guy's just like, kid, are you fucking serious? Like, I'm not gonna give you alcohol. Obviously he's buying it for his dad, but I just thought it was super funny that the guy just looked at him like kid, what the hell are you doing? Like, why are you trying to buy alcohol from me? So I thought I really like these were like really like innocent, tender child moments of Ren that I just fucking ate up and loved. He's like, get the hell out of here, baby Ren. Like, I'm not dealing with your shit right now. No, I didn't get the face of Ren, but he was just like sake please, and just puts up the Lien, and it's just so adorable. It's like they're like killing you with cuteness. And I think it's because it's like, yo, we're gonna give you this really like these tender moments because the ending is gonna tear your heart out. And it was, I loved it. I love the ending. I just it made me appreciate, like, not that I didn't appreciate it, but it the weight that it carried for Ren and Nora. Especially how they both introduced themselves. She was like, I'm Nora. He's like, my name's Lai Ren. And then it transitions to them on the mountain. That just fast-forwarded their entire life up to that point for me. And I was like, oh my God, like, I love these characters so much. Like, this is why they're always together. This is why they always need to be together, like, and protect one another. And they've gone through so much. And I just loved it. I loved how it was told. I love how Rooster Teeth was the episode overall was just really great, and how, you know, they wrapped it was just a really great flashback, you know what I mean? Because a flashback can be done either really well or really poorly. So in my head, I was wondering, okay, how much of the flashback are we going to get? Is it going to transition with the present? How is this going to correlate with things that are happening now? Hopefully it's not just a shoehorned in flashback, just to, you know, hold off for the next couple episodes. I really loved it. I extremely loved it. And I have a question for all of you guys. There's 620 of you in the chat, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys I'm going to get a fuck ton of responses immediately. But I'm going to include this one as well. This was adorable too. Like oh my God! His face in the freaking window when he's like, look at the cat bread! Yeah, someone mentioned it too. Like, there's cat bread, there's cake, there's, they look like cupcakes with, like, cherries on top, and then there's bread on the top. So, if you were Ren, and you were given one Lien, and you had to get one of these three things for his dad, well, your dad if you were Ren, which one would you get? Would you get the cupcakes? Would you get the pastries? Would you get the sake? Or would you get him, like, a weapon? Or the cat bread. I was curious about that. I was like, oh, I'll ask, you know, the viewers whenever I do the live stream which one they would choose to give the cat bread. That is so fucking cool, fucking cat bread, dude. The cat bread, the sake, the weapons, food, cupcakes, cake. Oh my fucking god, the chat is ridiculous right now. Cat bread is best bread, Jesus. This was such a great moment, just because, like, I feel like this is like a kid in it, like, this is a very, not cliche, but it's like, I feel like we can all relate to something like this, right? Like, pressing up our faces against, like a shop window if we see, like, a toy that we wanted, or a video game that we wanted, or, like, if you're in, like, a pet shop and you're just pressing your face looking at, like, the cute, adorable puppies. Like, I resonated with this so much, because I used to do that a lot. Like, whenever we'd go to the store or something, or I'd see, like, a game that I wanted, I'd be like, oh, I want it, and I'd, like, put it on my Christmas list or something. But this was a very kid thing to do. Like, kids do this shit all the time. Window shopping, essentially, at its finest. Yeah, the lotus cake looked pretty cool, too. That looks more of like if you're having, like, an event or something, like, maybe like a wedding cake. Yeah, so I guess the majority of you guys would have gone with the cat bread. That shit's so fucking awesome, dude. Fucking cat bread, that is great. Hey, Lemon, what's up? Oh, look at that, Dom. You're like, I'll get him the flower in the garden. Well, you're just being a suck-up now. Gotta keep up the sass. I think we just made a meme. Wow, yeah, the chat was like, I wasn't expecting that much of a reception from that, like, from that call to action, but I'd buy it. Aw, no way, dude. His mom's like fucking awesome. Stardust Mirage. I guess the chat went into catastrophe. Jesus Christ. The cat puns. I just love the... I didn't even notice that at first, actually. It wasn't until after, when I rewatched it, that I noticed the cat bread, and I didn't realize, like, so many people would have chose that of everything. I was like, maybe they'll choose the sake, you know, because it's for his dad, but... Yeah, I guess. I asked 600 people a question. What do you expect? Oh, man. What would be great is if they still had the cat bread and he gave the cat bread. Like, he got the cat bread and then he just, like, saved it all these years. And then, like, when he, like, found, if they ever found out, well, when they found out that Blake was a cat, he just gives it to her, like, here, here's some cat bread for you. Oh, that would be great. That'd be awesome. Dude. Someone needs to make that for real now. Like, real cat bread. Like, with a cat face and the ears and the eyes and everything. That'd be fucking awesome. Yeah, it'd be moldy. Aw, speaking of moldy bread. That's a terrible transition, I know. But we have to do it. We gotta get into this right here. So, let me just say, I do not condone violence. I do not condone any sort of negative behavior. But if I was Ren, like, if I had my personality and I saw this, I would literally, like, beat the shit out of these kids. Like, I was bullied growing up, so, like, especially to see this, like, fucking, like, this was Nora years ago. I got so angry when I saw this. I was like, she's being fucking bullied by these 3 pricks. I don't care if they're kids. I will, like, imagine if she saw them now, and she just, like, break all their legs. It's like, hey, you made fun of me when I was, you know, homeless, and I didn't have anyone to look after me. And then she just fucking destroys them with her hammer. but yeah, like I got so like I got triggered for this, but for like the right reason, in my opinion. Like she's fucking like, what kind of fucking person are you? You know what I mean? Like, what kind of lifestyle do you come from? Like, what kind of upbringing do you have that you have no fucking compassion as a human being to make fun of another kid who clearly doesn't, who's clearly a lot less fortunate than you know, trying to get by. Like, you're pushing her, you're making fun of her, you're calling her names and shit. And obviously, we're going to be super protective of her because she's fucking Nora. We actually care about her, especially because we didn't know. Like, and the big thing for me is, I didn't think either one of them had it terribly bad. You know what I mean? Like, I always thought that. Hold on, I'm going to bring myself back here. I need to find out which ones. Here we go. I always thought that, like, both of them were under similar circumstances, but I didn't know they were both. How am I trying to say this? I both figured that they both had a family, had a home, and stuff like that. But Nora had it a million times worse. Like, she seemingly didn't have a family, didn't have a home. You know what I mean? Like, Ren became an orphan, but it seems like she always was an orphan. Like, maybe moving from place to place. She doesn't wear the same kind of clothes as, like, the people in Mistral do. Granted, the kids don't either, but her clothes seem very different for the area. You know what I mean? Like, especially compared to, like, Ren. Like, she doesn't wear, like, the robes or the kind of, like, or, like, just basically, like, the kind of clothes Ren wears, or the people in Anima wear, which are very Asian-inspired, like Chinese-inspired clothing. So, maybe she's not even from this area, you know what I mean? Maybe she's just traveling on her own somehow, some way. And, I love her eyes, yeah. I really loved her eyes right here, like, in this shot here. You know, she's just innocent, you know what I mean? Like, she's a fucking kid. And, you know, I mean, you do have the line, you know, like, boys will be boys, but it's just like, you don't fucking do that, you know what I mean? Like, if I was them, like, if I was their age, I would never fucking do it. I'd get my freaking teeth slapped in by my parents if they ever found out I did something like this, you know what I mean? And, it was just very sad to see because they're very much different characters from where they first came from, you know? Like, we see Nora now. We see Nora as, like, the bubbly and the expressive and the happy-go-lucky character that she is. Very sporadic and, you know, just happy all the time. And we see Ren as, like, a very reserved, cool, calm, collected, you know, a man of wisdom, essentially. But they didn't start like that, you know what I mean? What would have broke my heart, like, not broke my heart, but what would have made my heart melt is if Boop originated here. Like, if she was just, like, if she booped him, like, when they met, as a way of kind of conveying her gratitude for him saving her, and, you know, vowing to always look after each other. That would have just destroyed me. That would have fucking destroyed me if that had happened, because that would mean the Boop in the forest is a callback to way back in the day when things weren't so easy for them. Yeah, she grew up to be a queen. The queen of the castle. But yeah, this was really tough too, because it's like I like, that never crossed my mind. What crossed my mind is that, like, this would have been the product after the village fell. Like, I expected her, I would have expected her to live like that if before the village fell, like before their home was destroyed or whatnot. But Ren, you know what I mean? Like, he comes from a very loving home. He's an only child. He has two loving parents. Lives in a village. His father hunts. His mother's a home, like, basically is the caretaker of the house, I assume. And he, you know, he just lives fine. You know what I mean? He doesn't have that much confidence, and, you know, he's very I think he's more, if anything, sheltered, which is why he doesn't have a lot of confidence, because maybe his parents just protect him a lot. And then you have, like, Nora, who's just fends for herself, is on the streets, has no one to care for her, and they're, like, super polar opposites when they, you know, initially, and then they just come together, and I love it. And then the song Boop makes the weight of that song is just, like, immeasurable. Like, the song has a million times more value and love and, you know, and compassion put into it than I initially thought, because I all I could do was paint the events that led up to that song being a thing. But, like, especially the beginning, you know what I mean? She says, oh my gosh, like, I'm just, there's so much weight to that song and to this moment. And, like, we're getting all of that at once. Like, we didn't know anything about them. You know what I mean? Context clues here and there. You know, the song was like, always there for me, you've been my family, even when all other hope was gone. And then eventually she developed feelings for him over time, which is completely normal. I mean, especially if it's someone that saved your life and is like basically your protector as a kid. I could see that, like, as them as kids, like, considering each other brother and sister, and then obviously growing up realizing the reality of it, like, we're not related, and I can, you know, feelings evolve and transform and change over time, and that's why she, you know, that's her best friend, you know what I mean? That's her other half, essentially, of always protecting her, keeping her around, keeping her safe. Yeah, like I don't even, like, I'll be straight up with you guys, like, I don't really care that much for shipping, you know what I mean? Like, everyone has, like, oh, I'm Bumblebee, I'm White Rose, I'm this, I'm that. I don't really care that much for that, but what I care about, like, and I won't even say I quote-unquote care, necessarily, in terms of, like, oh, I look into it, I want it to happen, but, like, if it's in my face, if it's canonical, like, if it's bound to happen, then I'll support it, you know what I mean? Like, Arcos, from Pyrrha's side of things, that was a thing, you know what I mean? And, like, this is like, you could see it from a mile away, you know what I mean? And this is something that I absolutely love, that it's developed since childhood to now that they, I guess in a way, are together, even though Ren doesn't really reciprocate. But Ren isn't someone that really kind of is, he's not super expressive anyway, so maybe in his head he sees it that way as well. Yeah, I like ships. I mean, I like the concept of them. I just don't like how destructive they can be when it comes to difference of opinion, or some people taking it way more seriously than it needs to go, or applying it to, like, real life concepts. That's where I feel like shipping kind of gets out of hand and where it's very off-putting. But primarily, like, the one thing I love the best thing to come out of ships for me, because shipping, I didn't know about shipping until RWBY. So, and I've been watching anime since I was, like, a kid, you know what I mean? Like, I haven't watched every anime out there, but a relationship was never something that I really focused on, unless it was, like, a romance anime. But I never knew about ships, and, like, I didn't know what shipping, like, the term shipping was, until I looked it up because of RWBY. And the best thing to come out of ships for me is the names, like, the shipping names. Like, I think those are fucking creative as fuck. You sunk my battleship. I was really good at that game, actually. I used to play that in the after-school program all the time in school. But ultimately, very tender moment. Fuck those kids. Like, those kids are pieces of shit. They can burn in hell. And yeah. So, and I mean that with all due respect, given the fact I'm an adult talking that way about kids in an animated show. But I can't fucking stand, I fucking despise bullies, like, with every fiber of my being, because I used to get bullied a lot for just being myself, like, and, like, what's wrong with me? Why do people not, I don't give people a reason to not like me, you know what I mean? I don't make fun of you, I don't call you names, I don't talk about your parents, you know what I mean? Like, I don't do anything outwardly to anyone else, yet all the negativity just comes to me, so I really don't like how people just act that way, you know what I mean? Like, it's just bullying, you know what I mean? And no one should have to go through that, so I fucking can't stand that shit. So I got very triggered when I saw that moment. And then we have fucking Hanzo over here. Yo, his dad is a fucking boss. His dad looks so fucking sick, dude. And you know what? I'll be the first to say this. Ren deserves to look as handsome as he does in Volume 4 because he gets it from his dad. Hanzo is here, dude. Yo, I realized that shit when he was when he took out his bow and he was like trying to fend off the Grim while Ren got away. I was like, that's fucking Hanzo. Like, he has a bow and arrow. He's got the ponytail. He's got the freaking the goatee. He almost sounds like him too, like his accent. And they're obviously both Asian culture inspired to some extent. And I thought that was fun. I was like, is this an Overwatch reference? Did they sneak an Overwatch reference in here? I want to believe so, because Overwatch came out... Well, Overwatch has been out prior to when it came out, like the Origins Edition came out on consoles, but Overwatch came out, I think, in March, April of last year. So it could literally be an Overwatch reference leading into Volume 3 production. Which would be super fucking awesome if that turns out to be a thing. Yeah, like he was freaking using the arrows, his ult wasn't working. Or he didn't know like the jibber jabber, like Yuga Waka Teki. I think that'd be super fun. I think that'd be super awesome if that is like a subtle Hanzo reference. I think that'd be great. And I know a bunch of the animators, not a bunch, but I know a few of the animators who actually play Overwatch, like who actively play Overwatch on PC. So I really would love to believe that that is a legitimate subtle reference thrown in there that's not like in your face, but if you know Overwatch, it'll click with you automatically. Oh man, Pyrrha's dad is Soldier 76. Yeah. I know it. Oh well, yeah. I didn't mean it that way. Like when I said jibber jabber, it's Japanese, but I mean, Japanese isn't a thing in the world of Remnant, so I don't think they would ever. To them, it's jibber jabber. Like it's just like, what the hell is that? Like Japan isn't in Remnant, so the concept of that wouldn't be in the show. Yeah, I actually want to play Overwatch now. God damn it! Quit your jibber jabber. Oh, what? That'd be sick! Yo, that'd be so sick if Nora's like grandfather was like Reinhardt, because he's got a giant fucking hammer. That's great. Well, that's super depressing too when I think about it, because I always so you know how like RWBY Chibi isn't canon? Like RWBY Chibi and main Chibi aren't canon, but you can bring canon aspects into Chibi. So, you know what I mean? Like, to say events in Chibi aren't canon is one thing, but I thought it'd be kind of cool if they make mentions in Chibi that eventually, you know what I mean? Like subtle things that maybe could be references or could be subtly canon, you know what I mean? Because I think, what did Nora say during her exercise episode? Like she was doing like the warm up with Team RWBY, and I think she said, oh, she was like, my grandmother can do more than my grandmother can lift more than you, or something like that. I'd be like, oh, so I was like, oh, so that'd be kind of cool. Maybe that's a reference that maybe she does have family in the actual show, but it's so subtle that you wouldn't take it seriously. You know what I mean? But yeah, she doesn't. And then like Weiss too. She mentioned like her nana. She was like, my nana gave me this bicycle, Stardust, Stardust, and she was like, Stardust away. So yeah, she was like, she's scary strong. Like imagine her grandmother was like a version of Reinhardt. That'd be fucking awesome. Oh, they have to do that now. They have to do a RWBY Chibi episode with Ren's dad, or yeah, with Ren's dad doing like the Overwatch, like an Overwatch short in RWBY Chibi. Like, they have to do that now. They have to do it. They have to do it. Like, that's... I just gave you material, Rooster Teeth. Do something with it. Like, RWBY Chibi is shit that you do in Chibi because you can't do it in RWBY proper, and that's, like, perfect. Like, they have to do that now. That's a missed opportunity right there if they don't. or potential copyright if they don't get Blizzard's permission. Play of the game. Yeah, that's copyright waiting to happen. They need Blizzard's permission, of course. Yeah, that'd be great. But yeah, his dad looks fucking awesome. He looks cool as shit, and you know, that's the thing too. Like, the words of advice he mentioned, he was like, sometimes the worst action to take is to do nothing. You know, basically, it's like you're an enabler at that point. Like, those kids were bullying, and it's so unfair. Like, the whole enabler aspect of, like, oh, if you watch someone being bullied and you don't do something about it, you're just as bad as those people who are. It's like that. It's so unfair of a thing. I get it. You know what I mean? But not everyone has that kind of courage to to stand up to it, because then it's like, then you're bringing shit to your doorstep that you don't want. Which again is something that I understand completely. I understand it from both aspects. Like, me being bullied as a kid, I never did anything about it. Like, I never confronted those bullies because it was just like, I didn't want to bring more trouble to myself. I didn't want to, you know what I mean? And it's very cliche to be like, oh, just stand up to the bullies and they won't bully you anymore, because 9 times out of 10, you'll make it worse for yourself. And it's such a shitty cliche kind of thing to go through, especially, but you know, it's very understandable for why some people wouldn't want to get involved. And I'm not saying, like, oh, if you see someone being bullied, don't get involved, or if you're being bullied, don't stand up for yourself. Obviously, you're going to want to stand up for yourself. Obviously, if you see someone getting bullied, it's best to do something about it, because you don't know how it's affecting the person being victimed, like the victim of it. But like, it was very much like, he was there, he saw her getting bullied, she saw him seeing her get bullied, the kids turned around like, oh, what are you gonna do? And he ran off. And I understand it's just because he's a kid, you know what I mean? He's very timid, he's extremely timid as a kid on top of that. Like, very timid, he doesn't have a lot of confidence in himself, and that could definitely be the product of his upbringing, the fact that he has seemingly a good life, and he has nothing really to fight for or to defend or protect, because he has a father that does that and a mother who cares for him. So it's just very much the fact that he's still a kid, you know what I mean? He still has his innocence. He doesn't have any of that stress or anything he has to worry about. So, but you gotta help people in situations like that. You really do. And you know, and I was talking shit about those kids too, but I hope, God forbid, they didn't die during that Grim attack. That'd be terrible, of course. But it was just very wise words for him to be like, hey, I would have rather you go in there and get your ass kicked protecting somebody or trying to stop something happening than doing nothing, because that the bullies win at that point, you know? So but ultimately, love the scene. Hanzo is fucking awesome. He looked so badass in the top one right there, like when he bumps into him, and I was just like, yo, his dad looks like a fucking boss. But then we transition back here. Crow looks like shit. Don't know. So at one point, they leave Crow at the tree, and they're like, yo, we better get back to Uncle Crow. And I'm like, where the fuck is he? Like, what do you mean, let's get back to him? Where did you leave him? I just thought it was super strange that they just decided to, like, yo, Crow, we're gonna leave you here by this tree for a few minutes, and we're gonna go, which I can understand, but it was just super weird when she was like, let's get back to Crow, and I was like, what do you mean get back to Crow? Where is he? I thought that was super funny, like, in a way. I was just like, what the fuck? It just came out of nowhere. But, this was another moment that was very, like, real. And, I mentioned this, I think, during my Volume 1 live stream, about how nothing seems to faze RWBY, you know? I was talking to a friend of mine, my friend John, and he mentioned that, like, you know, some people, not not necessarily like looking at it from that perspective, but in a way, he didn't want Ruby to be like a Mary Sue character, essentially a character who can overcome anything, overcome any obstacle with no kind of relapse or any kind of fault. You know, and this episode was really able. He was really able to kind of appreciate the fact that she does those kind of things, but it's not because she's able to overcome them. It's just because it's a sense of duty, you know. And Jean was really great at relaying a lot of that to her, because it seemed at this point she was having a lot of doubts about what's been happening. You know, she identified like, this is all my fault, which at the same time it's like, no, it's not, because at the same time, like, Jean even mentioned too, it's like, it's not your fault. Like, just like Pyrrha was apologizing to Ruby when she killed Penny, and Jean was like, that wasn't your fault. The girl on the, you know, the person on the intercom, Cinder, she's the one that did this. This is her fault. You know what I mean? It's not Ruby's fault that, in a way, like, her actions led to it, but at the end of the day, at its source, Tyrion is what got Crow in that condition, you know? And everything else here that's happened is a product of just being friends, being a part of a team, helping someone when they need it. And this goes back to to the socially awkward, exactly. And this goes back to Volume 1 with me, and how this kind of is a parallel. So, you know, right here you have Jean telling Ruby, like, hey, this isn't your fault. You lost Pyrrha. We all did, but you lost her as well. You lost Penny. You lost your team. In a way, you lost your sister because she lost her arm, and at that point, she didn't want to deal with anybody. You could lose your uncle right now. You know, we're out here in the freaking middle of nowhere, barren, desolate wasteland, armed to the teeth, and anybody can just come out and try to attack us and hurt us. You could lose us, but you're still here because you feel like you can make a difference, that you can do something, despite the fact that you're not the strongest or the most versatile fighter out there. And I love how he did that in telling her. Like, he mentions that, like, the best thing that he said, he was like, you didn't drag us along, you gave us the confidence to follow you. And I love that. And this reminded me of Volume 1, when Jean was questioning himself as a leader. And he was like, I'm a failure. He was like, I messed up, I'm a failure. And she was there for him. You know what I mean? When he was doubting himself and questioning all of the things that he's been doing, she was like, you're not a failure. You can't be one. You need a team. And I think you have what it takes to be a great team leader. And she gave him the confidence, and she gave him the support that he needed then, and he's returning it now. Not returning it like, oh, you did this for me then, so, but it's like, it's reciprocated here, which is great development for Jean as a character, you know what I mean? Because he didn't have this kind of confidence in Volume 1. He was very dorky, he was a klutz, you know, like, Volume 1 Jean is dead and gone. Like, I'll be completely honest, like, Volume 1 Jean is, like, gone. For the better. Because, like, Jean is very much now a very competent, reliable, and, like, he's very, like, he's just a lot more mature in the sense of a team leader, a friend, a huntsman in training, and he takes things seriously now. Whereas before, he was just like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here, and it clearly shows, and it didn't seem like he was really taking things seriously as much as he should have been. But then he had Pyrrha, and, you know, he had his teammates, and he had Ruby kind of helping him along the way, and now he's grown into an amazing character. And he's not even at his prime yet, which is even better, you know what I mean? So, I just loved this scene. I loved how it was like a returning factor of, you were there for me when I needed it, and I'm here for you because you need it. And again, that could just be me looking into it that way, but I just love how far Jean has come. You know what I mean? Like, and it's very crazy to hear that from Ruby, because like I said, I mentioned it in my live stream discussion for the first episode of Volume 4, I mentioned, like, Ruby never talks about that stuff. She never talks about how she feels about, like, losing her mother, about losing Pyrrha, Penny, you know, about any bad stuff that happens. Like, she just keeps moving forward, which I thought, I always found, like, really crazy. Like, psychologically, like, what's going on in her head. And I guess, in a way, she didn't relay it. It was Jean that was kind of telling her, like, we realize all the stuff that you've gone through. But it's like RWBY never does that. And RWBY never kind of internally reflects. I guess she doesn't express it. But at the end of the day, I guess it's something that would hold her back if she lingered on it. So... And yeah, absolutely, the Lancaster shippers are probably going apeshit about this moment right here. That's another thing I had in the back of my head. I was like, oh boy, Rooster Teeth, you just gave a whole bunch of fucking ammunition. But hey, all in good fun. They're both great leaders, honestly. And I love that it was a leader-to-leader moment. You know what I mean? It was obviously friend to friend, classmate to, like, teammate to teammate. But it was just two leaders who have the same exact role. They go about it different ways. They're growing, you know, in their own way. But when they need to, they support each other. And it's great. Even though it's Team Ranger, like, Jean and RWBY are very much leaders in their own right. Yeah, so... this was, like I said, this was an incredible moment that I really appreciated and liked. And then, this is where it all goes to shit. At this point, like, once the flashback came back, I was like, okay, all the happy fun times, all the adorable cute moments with baby Ren, and, you know, being protective of little Nora, and, you know, the sake moments, and the cat, and the cat bread, and the cake, and the toys, and the toy swords, like, all that's gone. And I was like, okay, so this is what we have to get through. Like, we have to get through this moment. And it was, like, like, we knew it was coming. You know what I mean? Like, we knew it was coming. We just had to brace for it. And personally, I was, like, really heartbroken by this, just by, like, the fact of, like, fuck, dude, you know what I mean? Like, kids going through stuff like this. And, like, the severity of it was, like, really crazy. Like, obviously, the Grimm are coming through, and it's one fucking Grimm! Like, just like Ren said, he was like, not just anyone. From what I saw, well, one Grimm primarily, kind of, like, like, the ringleader of it all. Like, obviously, you had Nevermores and stuff like that, but you had this one fucking Grimm, this beast, to the point where fucking Ren's dad was like, we need a huntsman. Like, we can't fight this thing. Like, we can try, but we're not going to get anywhere. We have to, like, get as far away from here as possible. Like, to the point of abandoning their homes. Like, that's how bad it was. And, it was, like I really like like how the characters emote. Like, I think that's something that I think has improved significantly in the show. Volume 3 was where it was very noticeable. Volume 4 is even better. Like, the facial recognition, especially with, like, Ren when he was, like, a kid and stuff like that. Like, he smiles, then he's frowning, and then he's, like, scared and timid. So it's very, I love how they express it that way. And the one moment here that, like, it was like, wow, like, oh, by the way, for any of you guys who are wondering, and I don't mean to throw her under the bus for this, but because of the fact, like Kim Newman, she's an animator at Rooster Teeth. She was responsible for, like, killing off Penny, and I think, like, she did the animations for those moments. So in essence, you could say she had a hand in killing off, like, Penny, and I think Pyrrha as well. Melanie Stern is credited for killing off Ren's mother. She did this entire scene, the whole kitchen scene of, or basically, like, the night scene within Ren's house, and this scene right here with the mom. This felt very Attack on Titan, for me at least. Like, I saw that and I was just like, crash, fade to black. That felt very, 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 very Attack on Titan-esque. Like, and it was just, like, the mother, too, was the first one to go. Reminds me of, like, Eren's mom in Attack... Spoiler alert, Eren's mom dies in the first episode of Attack on Titan. But, the series is, like, almost 4 years old at this point. But it felt very Attack on Titan-esque. And I feel like maybe that was what they were going for, because the Grimm, the concept of the Grimm, a lot of those concepts are very Attack on Titan, like, for the Titans themselves. Like, the Grimm don't need to eat. they don't need to eat. When they die, they evaporate, and a lot of the concepts of the Grimm are shared amongst the Titans. And I think maybe, Miles and Carrie, they watch Attack on Titan, maybe they draw inspiration from that. But this felt very Attack on Titan, and it was done like, albeit it's very tragic, it was done really, really well. Like, that crashing, like, I, like, fucking jumped at that, and then, like, you just hear the ambience of people screaming and running, and that built up the fear of, like, holy shit, like, people are dying left and right, like, this is what happens in a village, typically. Like, we're seeing firsthand, like, what happens, and, we see, like, Ren's life, like, just come crashing around. Like, he lost his mom, his village is being destroyed, his dad's doing the best he can to keep him safe, and I feel like it was really bad the most because, like, she's such a fucking awesome mom, you know what I mean? Like, for what, like, we see very little, but from that moment we see, like, that's who she was throughout Ren's entire life, you know what I mean? And it's just like, damn, man, we couldn't have you in the show, you know what I mean? Like, you couldn't be a part of, like, the moms that are out there right now, for better or for worse, I guess. I don't know. I really, this made me yearn for, like, I wish I had more of these characters, And it was very, very brief, and it's unfortunate that we didn't, like, Nora, for the most part, doesn't have identifiable parents. Maybe her parents were already dead, maybe she was abandoned as a kid, but, it just sucks, you know what I mean? Like, this is, I guess, at least the second mom who's dead, confirmed, aside from Summer. Very depressing and very tragic episode. I mean, this is in the past, so it's like, it's already happened, you know what I mean? But it's just like, oh, it's just really sad to see Ren go through it, you know what I mean? And, like, like we already mentioned, he's not equipped for, like, these kind of situations. He's not, yeah, like, you've inherited my sass. Like, exactly! I immediately fucking loved her after that. Like, at that moment, like, solidified it for me. Like, like, when she was like, why did you have to inherit my sass, as she, like, smacked his bottom and then sent him off, like, and she was just smiling there, like, I was just like, she's such a fucking awesome character. uh... Twisting the knife. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, and then, like I mean, like, Ren he's not built for this kind of lifestyle, you know what I mean? Like, he's very timid, he doesn't have confidence, he's a kid, you know what I mean? Like, you can't throw a kid into a situation like this and expect him, like, oh, run, son, like, survive, take action. It's like, you have to teach them that through, like, as they grow up. You can't just expect them to be like, hey, I need you to be a man now, during all this chaos and havoc and randomness that's happening. And it was really sad to see, you know what I mean? It was really sad to see, like, this happen to him, because this isn't who he is now. But it just shows that maybe they went through similar situations. Like, you just have to think, Ren and Nora have been on their own. How old would you say they are in this? I would say maybe, like, I don't know, like 9, 10 years old, maybe. And now they're 18. You'd say 7, 8. Well, I just say because, like, well, they're well-spoken. Well, Ren's well-spoken, so it's like he has to be, to a certain point, like, he fully comprehends, you know what I mean? I don't think this was, like 10 years ago or so, you know what I mean? Like, he's 18 now, so Nora's obviously a lot younger than he is. So, at least for Ren, to use Ren as an example, you'd have to think how many years has it been since this point that they've been on the road. You know what I mean? That they've been on the road. Well, actually, let's just say 17, because that's when they went to Beacon. So prior to Beacon, from this moment to their first year at Beacon, they've been on the road, like, by themselves, growing up like this. Keeping each other safe, essentially, like building their own weapons together, you know, crashing, you know, wherever, you know what I mean, setting up camp and whatnot. So that's where his confidence and sense of maturity comes from, the fact that I guess he was an early protector. He was protecting Nora while Nora was protecting him, and they gave each other strength, and that's how they both developed and grew as characters. And you know what I mean, like, that's something that was really forced on him in this moment, which was, again, it's like, it's very hard to, you know, it's just very hard to see him go through, because Ren was completely different than what I thought he was. You know what I mean? I didn't even really know how to picture Ren as a kid, because, like, now, or even in, like, the earlier volumes, he's very quiet, he's very reserved. Obviously, he respects people, he respects his teammates, he has a lot of, you know, compassion and care for them. But it was like, wow, I never thought Ren would be the complete opposite of what he is now back then. Same with Nora. Like, Nora said, I think, like, 2 words in this, like, 3 words. She was like, I'm scared, and then she introduced herself, and that was it. Like, she didn't say anything for the whole flashback. And, like, now, like, you can never get her to shut up, almost. Like, she's just always talking, she's always bubbly, and she's just, like, she just lights up your day. Or she just lights up any moment with her personality. But the best thing that I loved about, at least the parents, like, they died as parents. They died protecting their kid. And I think at the end of the day, no matter what, like, even if you're looking death in the face, like, that's your purpose, that's your duty to, as a parent, number one is your kid, like, or your offspring or whatever, is to, like, protect them. You know what I mean? Teach them right from wrong, raise them up to be a member of society, a productive member of society, and not a menace, and keep them safe and protected, and always show, you know, tender, loving care. And I love that at least that's how they went out. They went out reassuring to Ren everything's going to be fine, reassuring, like, run, you know, stay safe, take action. Words of wisdom, again, like, take action. If anything else that you take, if the last word of advice I can give to you, Ren, is take action. And that's probably another thing that drove his character to, like, drove him to change as a character. And, so this right here, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this Grim. We got this Grim. Super fucking awesome. I flip the fuck out whenever a new Grim is introduced. I love the Grim. I think the Grim are extremely interesting because we don't know a lot about them. Like, yeah, we know the origins of them now, but the origins are still very, like, meh. You know what I mean? Like, at least especially now, because, like, we know a lot about the Grim. Like, they evolve, they learn over time. You know, Salem commands them. There's a variety of Grim, a lot more abundant. Like, but I also think that there are some that are very one of a kind, very unique, like the Grim Dragon, the Sea Dragon, the Berengal. I think those are Grim that maybe, if not unique, very high tier, and that's something that's like one of my wishes for RWBY that I mentioned. I think it was during my Volume 4 character short review when the Berengal came into effect. I mentioned, I was like, I want higher echelon Grim. Like, I don't just want the Beowulfs and the Borbatusk and the Ursa. Like, those are like the fodder Grim. Like, the Grim that we put Grim in here just so we can have a sense of threat in the show. Like, I want Grim that can learn. I want Grim that can fight and give me a sense of threat for our characters, because I want to see how the characters combat that and overcome it. And the Berengal was like the first initial threat, like, wow, this Grim is going up one-on-one with another huntsman, thinking strategically, throwing Grim at her, like, and that's just like a tactical way of thinking about it, you know what I mean? And then you have this Grim, who's like going from place to place, traveling. It's a fucking horse rider almost. I'll get a little bit more into it. I don't know if it's the next thumbnail, but I'll get I will definitely get a little bit more into it. So some people. So initially, my initial thought was it was a minotaur, and I guess I was half right. I say half right from the waist down, essentially, because a minotaur would be like a humanoid top half with like a bull head, arms, and whatever, and then the lower half would be like he would have like hoof legs, like horse legs and like hooves, which would be like hooves of like a horse or something. So I was like, oh, I guess it could be a giant minotaur grim, which that would make, like, I thought I was on the money with that, but then it turns out it seems to be like a horse rider, like a grim that rides on a grim horse. And I was like, that is so fucking cool. Like, that shits on whatever plans I had, because right off the bat, that's a humanoid grim. That is a grim that looks, it has arms, I'll get into it, but if it is a horse rider, it presumably has legs, it has a head, it's a human-like grim. It's a humanoid grim. It has arms and legs and looks like a human in terms of its, like, anatomy. And it rides on a grim horse, which is even cooler. So it's kind of like a companionship, like, grim, essentially. But yeah, I was kind of disappointed that it wasn't a minotaur either, but at the end of the day, the fact that it wasn't kind of threw me off guard in terms of like, wow, I actually like that it wasn't a minotaur, because then that means like the writers and the creativity in terms of grim isn't parallel with what I think of it as. Like, I feel like the minotaur was, because I was thinking about it more and more and more, it made it almost too obvious, and then when it wasn't, I was actually happy that it wasn't what I was thinking. But some people are speculating that it is a different mythological creature, that this isn't actually a grim rider, but the top half of the grim is actually merged with the horse, and it's called a knuckleavi. And this is the first time I've ever hearing about this, and it's literally fucking awesome. Like, if that's what it is, that's even cooler, and I want to see how it fights and how it handles like combat and shit, because that'd be fucking dope. But for those of you who don't know what a knuckleavi is, this is what it actually, this is an artwork that I found online, but this is essentially what that grim would be. And this could potentially be supported because during the moment when Ren and Nora are underneath the building hiding from it, you don't see legs. Like, if the grim had, like, if it was a rider, like if it was just a grim riding a horse, you would see the legs on the side of it when it rode by, but you didn't. So this could potentially be supported of it being like a merging of like the top half of the rider and then the horse of the grim itself too. It's so fucking sick, dude. Like, I wish that was I wish this artwork was literally what it looked like. But just think, this grim attacked Ren's village years ago. This grim has lived prior to this attack. So the grim must be smart as fuck. And I'm really glad that they only gave, like, a silhouette of what it looked like, and they didn't reveal it, because that means the Grim has evolved since then. It has bone structure now. It probably thinks a lot more strategically, and it's just a lot more intellectual in how it goes about its hunt and how it goes about fighting. And I'm really glad they didn't reveal it, so that way when we actually see it, it's in action, hopefully in the finale. That'd be really fucking awesome, too. But I think this is, like... like, this just takes the Grim to the next level of, like, what the fuck are they? You know what I mean? Like, I understand, and initially I thought, like, Season 1 Grim were so base. They were so base. It's like, okay, you have a bear, you have a wolf, you have a scorpion, you have a pig, you know, a boar, if you will. And I'm just like, okay, so I'm assuming they're just, like, real-world animals. And then Volume 3 stepped up with the fucking griffins, those are mythological, and the fucking dragon, and then we got a sea dragon, and then we got a fucking geist, a freaking, like, possessive ghost grim, and then we got this thing. So the creativity of the grim are just, like, exceeding expectations. Like, at this point, I don't know, I didn't even know about this. Like, I don't know about, like, crazy mythological creatures and shit. Like, the only thing I can think of in terms of mythological creatures that I'd love to see is, like, maybe any creature in the world of Harry Potter. Like a kraken grim, or a hippogriff grim, or, like, we already have a dragon grim. a spider grim, you know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. But I didn't even know, like, a thing like this existed. So it seems like if this is what it is, if it's like a Knuckle of Ollie grim, that just shows that, like, Miles, Carey, and Gray are going, like, deep in, like, other types of mythos to like, gather inspiration for their work, which is incredible. And I really hope they continue doing that and showing me shit that I've never even seen or heard of, because it increases my excitement even more and more for stuff that I can't even theorize or speculate or think along their level of what they're going to do with the show, in terms of hoping my theories are right. But yeah, like, so fucking sick. This is metal as fuck, dude. Like, like, this is so cool. Like, and the best part is, like, how does it fight? It's a horse, so it obviously, you know, it has, like, a lot of speed and whatnot, and I'm just wondering, how is this going to look in a fight, you know? The next best thing would be, like, a humanoid Grim, like a Grim that walks and moves, and I would fucking lose. Like, yo, literally, you guys are going to, like, literally, I'm going to say this right now, I fear for you guys, for whoever watches my reactions, I fear for you guys the day a Grim speaks the human language. Like a Grim, not like Salem. Like, I fear for you guys to watch that reaction, because I will probably fucking destroy something in excitement. Like, that is like my fucking wet dream of RWBY. Like, a Grim that walks, talks, and, like, responds and fights like an actual human. That's, like, my wet dream right there. That'll be, like, that's, like, my #1 fucking wish for the show. And I'm pretty sure I'll know it'll happen, because I'm pretty sure when you guys watch the episodes, I'll be getting, like, a million tweets of, like, dude, you're gonna fucking die. Oh, man. Oh, man. I love the Grimm so much. They're, like, one of the coolest aspects of the show for me. And I love whenever, like, a new Grimm comes up, or concept of a new Grimm, or something that evolves the concept of the Grimm as a whole, like, they can learn over time, like, that, I just love that. And it just intensifies, like, okay, wow, things are upping, like, they're upping the ante, essentially. But yeah, Knuckle of Ollie, potential Grimm candidate for the next episode, based on how they reveal it. But, yeah, someone mentioned this, too. I actually didn't realize this initially. I found out about this afterwards, but Ren's dad gives him a knife. That's like his parting gift, like his parting, you know, parting item to give to his son, like, you know, take action. And he left, and the weapon looks like the blades, like, upside down, reversed, that go on Ren's Stormflower weapons. So those could be, like, I don't know if he welded another one to look exactly like it, because they only had one at the time, but the blades on his gun look exactly like those blades, obviously reversed, flipped, whatever, to match, like, the blades that are on his gun, which I thought was super cool, like a way that he has something of his dad's to continue onward, you know, after his dad, you know, sacrificed himself to protect him. Here, son, stab some shit. Jesus Christ. But yeah, and obviously you guys got the reference already, but here, I'll just put it up here, just so it's official. But he's literally Hanzo, like, literally fucking Hanzo. And I would not be surprised if this is an Overwatch. I will not be fucking surprised in the slightest if they're like, yeah, that's a very subtle Overwatch reference that we put in there. Like, he looks like Hanzo. He has the bow and arrow like Hanzo. He kind of sounds like Hanzo a little bit. All you need is to just have, if someone, like, voices over this part with, like, Yuga Waka Teki Wakuro, it would literally be like the ult, like him using the ult of Hanzo, like, literally. Like, literally confirmed. 98% ult. My ultimate is charging. Oh, yeah. It sucks that he didn't have a brother, because then that would be like the Genji. You've opened up a can of worms. Play of the game. Ah, that's fucked up. Yeah, he ended up obviously dying at that point, but it was great to see him go out like a fucking boss. I will say that much at least. And the next part like broke my heart. Like the next part literally like initially the next part like broke my heart. Like this part right here was where like Ren was obviously crying. Like obviously his fucking parents were just killed. You know, fucking the village going to shit, and there's like nothing he can do. No, like he sees Nora under the under the like that's what really broke my heart, was like the fact of like everyone's running and fleeing for their lives, making sure them and their families are safe, and like Ren not like Nora's just like, I have nowhere to go, I have no one to turn to, and I'm just under this building like terrified for my life. And I was just so fucking, I was just sad. I was like, oh my gosh, I'd save you if I could. But it was such a sad moment right here, because he had like Ren sobbing, and that's the one thing I really liked. That like I didn't like the part he was crying, but it felt very realistic. Like when Ren ran like across the courtyard, and he fell down into that little like the little underpass, and like the way he was breathing, like he was like he was like wheezing almost, like that felt very realistic. Like wow, he's like sprinting, like breathing for his life. I think the voice acting for that part was really well done for Ren. And, like, this part right here, I was like, what the fuck is gonna happen? Like, what is gonna happen? They have no one to protect them. You have, like, the Nevermore. I think that's the next clip right here. You have the fucking Nevermore on the roof. You have the Knuckle Volley, freaking Knuckle Volley, whatever it's called, like, walking in on the side. I'm like, what is gonna happen? Like, how the fuck are you getting out of this? Like, who's gonna bail you out? And he fucking activates his... I don't know... Okay. So, I don't know if that was his semblance activating, his aura activating, or if it was a combination of the two. Obviously, it was semblance related. But, like, did he already have his semblance awake, his aura unlocked? I think... Because, like, Jean awoke his aura, but he didn't unlock his semblance at the same time. So that's the only thing that I'm wondering. If it was both simultaneously, then that's fucking awesome. But he ends up like unlocking his aura, and right before that, you see the white lotus flower here. And this was very symbolic to how his semblance works, because a white lotus flower is a symbol of like purity of the body and of the mind. So it's basically like a state of peace, and It's very intriguing how it works, and I don't know how it could be utilized in the future, but his aura here activates, and then he has like a calming like breath. He's just like, oh, like an exhale, and then he just starts running off. He goes and gets Nora underneath, and he mentions like, we have to be brave. And then she clings to him, and his aura envelops her, and it kind of gives off that same fading effect as well. And what ended up happening was the Grimm that was like under the building ends up not sensing them anymore. So this is what I think it is. I think this semblance... Hold on, let me pick the old one back up. Hold on. I think this semblance is... It's not a suppressor. He's not suppressing his emotions. He's not suppressing his emotions, because he mentioned, like, when Nora's, and even Nora, like, she's like, I'm scared. He's like, me too. It's like, if it was just like halting your emotions, you wouldn't be able to feel that. You wouldn't be able to feel scared. I think this is like a state of like a zen, like chill mode semblance activated. it's a state of tranquility, like the semblance, and that's why it's very odd that, like, I'm wondering how that's going to be utilized in the future. I could see where it'd be useful, but essentially, him activating the semblance puts him in a state of tranquility, like a state of absolute peace, absolute calmness, where the Grimm feed off negative emotions. They feed off despair, hate, rage, anger, sadness, etc. Basically everything that people are feeling here, and that's how they find their targets, that's how they kill, etc., etc. But Ren is able to neutralize that and becomes undetectable by the Grimm. I guess at least if he's not in their line of sight. So when he goes under the building here and he like hugs Nora, the Grimm up top, the Grimm's like, what the fuck? I just sensed something here, but now I don't, so I'm gonna fly off. I don't think the Grimm was able to see them from that angle, though. Like, it looks like the Grimm is looking looking directly at them and he doesn't see them. I don't think that's the case. I think the Grimm is just like, oh, this is where I was sensing the negative emotions, and now it's gone because he used his semblance on Nora. But it wasn't a sense of, it wasn't suppressing the emotion, it was just blanketing the, oh my god. It was essentially blanketing their emotions with his semblance and becoming undetectable by the Grimm. Which again, it's super useful. Like, if it wasn't for that, I don't know how else he would have been able to do that. I don't think it's an invisibility, because the Grimm have eyes, you know, they can see and shit. But it's super cool. Like, I think that's, and like, that's the thing too, like, how is that semblance going to come into effect? Because they're not going to just show Ren's semblance for the sake of, oh, we didn't show him his semblance so far, so let's just show it now. Like, that's foreshadowing. Like, this is foreshadowing that his semblance is going to come into effect soon. Probably in the next 2 episodes whenever they fight this Grimm. So I'm just wondering, like, how is this going to play a role down the line? And then again, here you actually see the Grimm a little bit better. You see it's like giant back hooves, which look like which are the horse hooves that I thought initially were like a Minotaur Grimm's footprints. And then you see like the claws of the front half. But here's the thing, you don't see legs. You don't see legs on the side, which could infer that it is a Knuckle of Volley and that it's merged with the horse part on the top. So it's not a rider, but it's actually one entire Grimm, which is fucking badass again. But yeah, I think that's incredible. I think that's an awesome fucking semblance that he's able, and I think that's what, and that could be why, you know what I mean, like, that's really Ozpin's mantra, which is like, we need to remain calm, we need to keep peace, we need to keep everyone calm and not spread panic. And I love how that's Ren's semblance. And Ren has always been cool, calm, collected. It wasn't until Kuroyuri was mentioned, you know, mentioning of going to Kuroyuri, that we started seeing Ren from a different, like, we started seeing him getting a lot more expressive, a lot more, like, angry and in distress. So, maybe his semblance is always activated? Like, actually, no, that, well, it could be, I guess. But he's always in that state. Like, he's always calm, he's always cool, he's always collected, he's never emotional, he never expresses that, he's very monotone on top of that. So, that could be a product of his semblance being passive at this point, after being activated. And, because obviously he didn't know, he wasn't actively using the semblance. It seemed like the semblance was just activated based on his trauma or his stress, a la like the Sharingan, essentially. So, like, he got to a stressful emotional point where it triggered the semblance awakening, and then he just used it, and unwillingly it helped him in his situation. Yeah, Gibson, that's what I'm saying. He reacted to Kuroyuri. That's what I'm saying. Up until that point, we never saw that. And I would expect Kuroyuri to be something he reacts to, because this whole event is what triggered his semblance to begin with. So I highly doubt his semblance would be able to keep something like this. And again, like I said, his semblance doesn't nullify his emotions, it blankets it. So he can still feel those things, but it just won't attract negative attention from the Grimm. Experience tranquility. Yeah, basically he's... Oh my god, Renyatta. That is so fucking clever, dude. That could be another Overwatch reference that they threw in there, dude. But then for me, it would be like, how would he evolve that? You know what I mean? He would have to know what his semblance is in order to tap into it and make it evolve. The only thing I can think of is leading up to them getting... So basically, like I mentioned, I was like, okay, ever since this moment, they've been living on the road. They've been orphans. They've been living on the road from place to place, whatever. How are they going to stay safe? They're going to blanket themselves so they don't get scared, so they don't cause any unnecessary attention from nearby Grim, and that's how all they have to do basically is not be within the line of sight of a Grim, and they're safe because everything else is in check with his semblance. So that could be how they've survived all of this time, especially if they were living on their own within the not within the confines of a kingdom. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mentioned. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's why Ren is so fucking chill, because... Yo, we could literally break down the characters of RWBY in the form of Overwatch characters. Like, someone just said Nora would be Reinhardt. I could definitely see that. Would RWBY be Anna then? Because Anna has a sniper. She's definitely not she's definitely not Widowmaker. Like, she can't be Widowmaker. But, because Widowmaker also... No, she would be Anna, because Anna only has a sniper. Widowmaker is a sniper / machine gun, or, like, assault rifle. So she would be Anna. RWBY would be Anna. Who... I'm not going to linger too much on this. Oh, Tracer, yeah, that'd be cool. She could be Tracer because she's really fast. Weiss would obviously be Mei, because, you know, Mei is Bae. And the whole ice thing. Yeah, when you get into the other characters, it's kind of hard, honestly. I'll make a spreadsheet. Yeah. I looked on the wiki, and it says his semblance is to become undetectable by Grim and become calm. Well, that's the thing, though. Like, I think that'd be a really good question to ask at RTX if they don't explain it now, in terms of elaborating on... Unless we don't see it, unless we see it in the next 2 episodes. If it's not explained by the end of the volume, that's something that definitely should be asked to Miles or Carrie, or Gray, based on, like, the details of the semblance, because there's no fucking way that you'd be visually undetectable. Like, in terms of, like, the Grim are attracted to negative emotions. If you keep your emotions in check, then you're undetectable by those means, but you're not undetectable, period. And it obviously keeps you calm, which is why, like, beforehand, he was just sobbing and he wouldn't leave that spot. His semblance activates, he becomes tranquil, and then he's able to will himself to be able to go out there because he's not, like, stuck in fright. So yeah. Yeah, I heard about that. Are you going to RTX with a list of... No, I'm not going to go into RTX with a list of questions. Honestly, the question that I asked at RTX, I thought of that question the same day I went to RTX. So, I don't know. I was, like, sweating bullets when I was up there. Like, I'm surprised I got anything out, to be completely honest. Because, like, I was on the spotlight, which was super nerve-wracking to me. But yeah, oh yeah, Blake could be Genji. That'd be pretty fucking sick. Tyrion is definitely Junkrat, just based on their personalities alone. But yeah, so, the semblance is really interesting, and I'm wondering how that's gonna work. You know what I mean? Like, the only thing I can think of is maybe... It's very hard to tell. Like, if the only point of his semblance is to become... is to is to blanket emotions so Grimm can't sense you, then it, like, what other purpose would it have other than like maybe escaping and like keeping your emotions in check while escaping so the Grimm aren't tracking you that way. But I don't know, if it makes you invisible to the Grimm, then by all means, like, that's a really fucking great semblance, and it's clear how it's going to be utilized in the future. But as of right now, I'm just wondering how that's going to happen, or what's going to cause that to like, how does his semblance create foreshadowing for what's to come in the fight, or how we see his semblance in the future. You can make clear choices in battle. That is true. That is very true. Holy shit. Why didn't I think of that? Who said that? Zackies? I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, one of the big things too is that, like, you're not your judgment isn't clouded because of like shit that's happening in the moment. You have a clear mind. You can actually think and plan things a lot better than someone next to you who's actually acting on impulses and instinct and split-second decisions. So that's definitely, again, I feel like that's why I feel more and more that that's why his semblance could be passive, because he's always like that. Ren has never been like, he's never like been an emotional character to like have outbursts or anything like that. Like, he's not like Yang, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't just act on emotion and like a temper. So honestly, I thought for a split second, I thought he froze time for a second when he used his, because I was like, why is he gray and everything around him is in color, almost like he's frozen in time or something. I've seen that been done. I've seen that happen in like other series, like where like a black and white discoloration like separates you from the time, like from being in that time or in that moment in time, like you're either like time has stopped around you, etc., etc. Actually, no, I think that's what happens with the time turners in Harry Potter. I think they're like differently colored. I think, I'm not entirely sure, or at least initially when they turn it back. Hey, Brandon, I've seen you in here this whole time, but did you try out the Neo demo, like the last chance demo before the game comes out next week, or like a week and a half? Ren is the last ninja of the Uchiha clan. Stress can be helpful in battle too. Without it, Ren can't adapt. That is true. Guys, no caps. Keep the caps to a minimum, just because some of the mods are mentioning it. Totally, Arnold. It was fun. Yeah, Neo or Nio, depending on how you pronounce it. It's like a Dark Souls kind of game, but like set in like feudal Japan era. It looks super cool. It's kind of like a cross between Dark Souls and Onimusha. It's a PS4 exclusive. It's so fucking sick. And Dark Souls 3 just came out with they announced the last DLC, and that comes out March 28th, which is the same day Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5 come out for PS4. So I'm gonna be kind of butting heads with those two games, honestly. But yeah, I'm gonna disappear for a second, just so I can show you guys this fucking tender ass moment right here. This literally melted my heart. And what really did it was the fact that they had the instrumental OST for Boop, like a different rendition of it in the background during this whole thing, which again is why I feel like that song, the weight of that song just magnified by like a million times. Like the big, like when he was going to get the hammer and she like grabbed his arm, like, don't leave me, like at that point I feel like she clung to him from that point, and I was just like, I'm like, oh my god, this is like so emotional. This is the best thing ever. And then again, like I mentioned, the hammer is referenced again by the end of the episode. Obviously I would have liked it to be under better circumstances, like maybe if he bought it for her or something. But I mentioned that in the video too. I was like, that'd be kind of cool if he buys the hammer for her whenever he ends up meeting her. But the fact that, and like, she like kept the hammer, like the hammer was the inspiration for her actual weapon, you know, and the knife from his dad transcended to become an aspect of his weapon when he got older. Like the blades of Stormflower are the blades of the knife that his dad gave him. This was just like, this was too much for me right here. It was like, I feel so sad, but I'm so happy for them. Like, I'm so happy that at least they made it. You know what I mean? You know, his parents' death wasn't in vain, and you know, everything just, like, they just made it out alive and made it out together. And I loved right here, like, when they're introducing each other, he's like, "What's your name?" Like, "Nora," and he's like, "My name's Lyren." I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I mentioned it too, like, how I like the transitions of the episodes. Like, it went from flashback to present to flashback to present. And I love how, like, this moment right here was Ren and Nora, and it was just like their moment introducing each other, which was really great. And then immediately after, it transitions to them two again on the cliff top. And that moment, for me, like, from the moment they introduced each other to this moment right here where they transitioned to the present, it kind of gave me a mental note of all of the years since then, leading up to this moment. Like, that's what they've been through together. They've always been together. They've always had each other's backs. They've always kept each other safe. They are everything to the other person, and you literally can't have one without the other, you know? Like, and I was thinking too, like, God fucking forbid, I don't have any wood to knock on, but knock on wood metaphorically, but if Rooster Teeth were to ever kill off one of these characters, they would have to kill both of them. Like, I physically and mentally cannot picture RWBY where one of them is here and the other one isn't. Like, I can't imagine that. And like I said, never in my entire life, in a million years, would I ever want that to happen. But if it were to happen, that's how they'd have to do it. And then we'd riot. But I just hope that never has to come to pass, you know? And, I was gonna say something. I've been rambling this whole time. Now I can't think of something that I was gonna say. Oh yeah, and if they ended up dying, then the big theory, like the Pyrrha death theory, like all of I'm sorry, not the Pyrrha, the Juniper death theory. Sorry, Pyrrha was the catalyst for that theory, but the Juniper death theory would have some weight to it if that ended up happening, because you would have you know, basically the theory, for those of you who don't know, the Juniper death theory is based on the fact that the four characters of Team Juniper are based on historical figures who have died in their own unique stories. Like, Achilles was killed, primarily killed from an arrow to the Achilles tendon, or the Achilles heel, and that's the last attack that Pyrrha received before she got killed. That was basically her weakness, being inspired by Achilles. Nora is based on Thor, the Norse god, and he was killed by the venom of the Midgard serpent, I want to say, in his unique story. Ren is inspired by Mulan, and Mulan committed suicide after becoming a concubine for some kind of royal leader, if my memory serves correctly. And Jean is inspired by Joan of Arc, who was burned at the stake, and and was interrogated by the Bishop of Winchester. which the Bishop of Winchester is a character in RWBY. Cardin Winchester is inspired by the Bishop of Winchester. So, and that kind of is a reference in of itself of the bully arc of Volume 1, like Joan of Arc and the Bishop of Winchester butting heads in history, similar to Jean and Cardin butting heads in RWBY. So, each one of these characters have died in their stories because and I think the way Pyrrha died, she died exactly like Achilles. She got shot in the air, she got shot in the Achilles heel with an arrow like Achilles did. Obviously, she got shot in the chest, and that's what killed her. The arrow to the ankle is what killed Achilles. And somebody mentioned that the Knuckle of Volley, the creature in the creature of myth that presumably is inspired, like the Grimm in this episode, that's presumably inspired by the Knuckle of Volley, breathes poison, and that Nora's inspiration, Thor, was killed by venom, which is essentially almost the same kind of concept. I think venom or poison is already applied here for Crow's situation, but that's something else. But then again, I speculated that because I mentioned the week before the Tyrion fight, I mentioned that Tyrion has a stinger, Tyrion would have venom, and that's how Thor died. So essentially, that I speculated that Nora would be caught off by Tyrion that way. So those are just parallels that could essentially be supported with the whole Juniper death theory. So wow, 725 of you guys are in here. I didn't realize that. I last I checked, we were at like 500. But thank you guys all for joining. Very much appreciate it. Yeah, trust me. I don't want to think about this stuff, but objectively I do it because I apply RWBY in all senses. Like, I'm not just going to be like, I only want to analyze and think about RWBY from the good side of things and what I want of it. It's like, it's all-encompassing, so God forbid anything bad happens to any characters anymore. I personally feel like it's too early for death, and if I can't bear the thought, like I put out a poll earlier on Twitter asking people, who do you think will die? Will it be Ren? Like, who do you think anyone will die this volume? Do you think Ren will die, Nora, Crow, or nobody? And half of the people that have voted, it's about 700 people who have voted so far, 50% of them said that nobody will die. And I think the red flags are kind of in your face too much. We get like more insight here from the cave, and that, you know, the wind's blowing out of the cave. They're actually, you know, obviously they're climbing the cave to try to find another way of getting help for Crow and all of them. And they come into this den, this cave area. And the one thing here, and I kind of want you guys' opinion on this, particularly because, like Ren mentions, like this is the symbol for Shion. This is like the banner for Shion Village. And Ren's village actually had one too. It was a lotus flower. That was the symbol for his village, and that like triggered something in him. He's like, and then Nora's like, well, why is that here? Shion is weeks away. Like, why the hell would it be here of all places? They go inside the den. And they see a bunch of weapons around. So there's weapons around, but there's also like black ooze. Like, I'm assuming that's kind of like the equivalent of blood for the Grimm, because they are made from that black ooze based on episode 1. Now I'm one of two minds here, and I need you guys to kind of weigh in what you guys think about it. It's kind of like a reverse discussion here for you guys, but what I think this is, because I'm honestly, I'm one of two minds, like I said. Number one, the Grimm is grabbing stuff from other places and taking it back with him. Like, why does he have that Shion banner? Like, what the hell do you need that for? And then you have all of these weapons here, but you also have all of this black ooze. Like, you have it on the walls and on the floor, and it's spread everywhere. And you have all of these weapons. So I'm like one of two things. I'm like, either A, These are like trophies to this Grimm. Like, this Grimm is smart enough to kind of have like a barbaric mentality of, I killed that guy, let me show the efforts of that kill by, you know, taking his sword as a trophy. Or let me show that I destroyed this village by taking the banner for myself. So I'm thinking either that, or like all of those weapons were at one point lodged in him. Because in the episode, you see like a bunch of spikes in him, almost like the people who fight him off. Like, they're villages that are fighting. They're not experienced in combat or weaponry and stuff like that. So like when you throw a weapon, that shit's getting lodged in him. That's staying in him, and it would explain like but I can't explain like the freaking ooze on the walls and stuff like that. It honestly looks like he took a bunch of people here and just killed them for sport, honestly. But maybe he's like taking out the weapons out of him, and that could kind of be supported by the fact that Ren's, like, his dad's arrow that he fucking lodged in him years ago is here. So this is also where the Grimm like lives. So I was wondering what you guys think about that. Do you think, like, one of three things? Do you think like this is where he takes his victims and kills them, like, for sport, and that's like why the blood and stuff, like the ooze and stuff, is all over the place? Do you think it's a matter of he's taking these weapons as trophies, or do you think this is where he comes to heal his wounds and to like take out all the weapons that people use against him? Yeah, there's a giant fucking hammer there too. Like, I'm pretty sure you can't lodge that into him. Yeah. Yeah, there would be bodies if they were things that were there. So, you know, so that's out of the question. I feel like it's a trophy room of sorts. That could be, but what would explain the blood everywhere? Like, unless he's just like pulling him out of him and the blood's just going all over the place. I'm gonna call it blood because it's like blood equivalent. I'm assuming like that ooze is the blood equivalent, so I'm just gonna call it blood. So like, that's like the one thing that threw me off. I'm like, why the fuck is there ooze on the walls? That made no sense to me. Yeah, it could have eaten the bodies, but then again, we know Grimm don't need to eat, so it's kind of like, why would he waste his time, you know? Humans probably taste like shit anyway. Not literally, of course, obviously, from a Grimm's perspective. Yeah. So that's always something that's something that I was really rattling around in my brain. Um, Maybe it's a bit of both. What kind of territory marking? That's another thing. So my friend Jackson, Subasa Yu, if you guys ever see him in like the chat or anything like that, his name's Subasa Yu, his name's Jackson. Really good friend of mine. And we get into like long-winded theoretical, analytical discussions of RWBY every week. And he was talking about like how it seems like the Grimm are, like, at least the Grimm outside of the kingdom's areas are a bit more territorial, you know? Like, the Berengal seemed like it was claiming ownership of like that village. Like, it was the ringleader of that attack. Like, you had the Nevermores, you had the Beowulfs, but the Berengal was like the leader of that bunch. Now you have this Grimm who seems to actually be traveling from village to village, grabbing weapons as trophies, grabbing banners, like doing his rounds. Like, why else is this Grimm going back to Shion if Shion's destroyed? You destroyed it years ago. It's kind of like, maybe it's like a territorial kind of thing. And the World of Remnant for Grimm mentioned that Grimm normally don't fight with animals, but they only, like, it said that they don't usually fight with animals, but the only evidence of that is based on territories. So they are territorial to some extent. So I think this Grimm is somewhat of a territorial beast in a way. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it has a sense of, not pride, but a sense of ownership for what it kills and what it deems that it owns. Yeah, I know the World of Remnant says that they choose to eat people, but they don't need to, so I would never see a reason for why this Grim would choose to eat a person if they didn't need to, you know what I mean? Unless instinctively they're like, yo, my objective is to kill, therefore I'm going to kill you and eat you. But then again, the village of Shion, you had dead bodies everywhere, and that Grim was at Shion, and it didn't eat any of the bodies, it just took what it wanted and left. Or killed whoever was left and left. So, again, I don't think I think the eating is only a method of killing them, not necessarily like, oh, you're dead, so now I'm gonna eat you. It's like, if you're dead, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna be on my way, but if you're alive, I'm gonna try to eat you in order to kill you. Yeah, it likes to hunt. I think it's doing it for sport in a way. He's picky. Did I miss a lot? Well, we are literally at the end of the stream at this point. The last scene to mention, which kind of put a lot of red flags up for people, is the hand-holding scene with Ren and Nora. Because essentially they have to go back home. They saw the Grim walking through the, like, thumping through the forest, like the trees moving, and it's on its way to Shion. And that's where that's where Jean, Crow, and RWBY are. And that's where they didn't want to go. They decided to go up the mountain versus going back home, and they both realized, hey, we got to go back. We got to face our fears, essentially. And shout out to the fucking person who does the Grim, like, voices, like the noises for the Grim. Like, it cuts to black, and then you hear the Grim scream. That scream was fucking dope as fuck, dude. That Grim, like, it was just so, I was just like, oh shit, like, that's the Grim. Like, we're going to actually see it in the next episode. But I'm pretty sure this is what Rooster Teeth is going to do. I guarantee you. Next week, we're not getting the fight. Next week, we're probably going to go back to either Weiss, Blake, or Yang. The finale will probably be this fight, honestly. And I'm expecting the episode to maybe be just as long as the volume 3 finale. Maybe like 20, 25, 28 minutes. Maybe something like that. We're obviously going to get the ending. We're going to get the credit scene. The end credit scene. We're obviously going to get the credits with all of the voice actors and stuff like that, like the official credits for everyone who worked on the show. We're probably going to get new music during the credits, which is great. We can talk over that and discuss it and whatnot. And yeah, so I'd love a 30-minute episode. You guys have no idea. Well, at this point, Rooster Teeth has kind of made it obvious, like, the finale episodes are always longer than any other episode in that volume. But, the finale of Volume 3 kind of, like, that exceeded standardized anime length episodes. Like, anime episodes usually go for, like, 22 minutes. A la, yeah, you had, like, a really long end credit. You had, like, 5 minutes of the credits. But still, it was just like, wow, that was, like, a traditional length of an anime episode, which was really great. No, I cannot picture it being an hour. That's like a movie length. Or like a short movie length. I don't think any movies come out now that are under 2 hours long, to be completely honest. I'd love a 30-minute finale. I'd love a 30-minute finale, absolutely. But yeah, we have 2 episodes left. We have episode 11, which comes out in a couple days, this Saturday. And then next weekend, February 4th, is the finale of RWBY Volume 4 for first members. 24 hours later, it'll be available to anyone who creates a free Rooster Teeth account on the website, so you can watch it as early as Sunday. They've confirmed RWBY Volume 5, for those of you who are joining now, they've confirmed RWBY Volume 5 for fall 2017. So based on that, based on kind of like evidence of the past, Volume 3 premiered on October 24th. That was on a Saturday. Volume 4 premiered October 22nd, which was also a Saturday. And, I think I got those backwards. I think Volume 3 premiered October 22nd. Volume 4 premiered October 24th. Both of those on a Saturday. This year, October 21st falls on a Saturday. So that might be the date if they end up sticking with an October release schedule. October 21st is a Saturday, and that should be when Volume 5 premieres. We'll probably get an official release of that during RTX, for whatever they're going to show during the RWBY panel. And RWBY Chibi's confirmed for a second season that's coming out in May. So they also confirmed Red vs. Blue Season 15 for, I don't know when that comes out, but that's going to be coming out, I think, alongside RWBY Chibi. And, yeah, so Rooster Teeth has... Camp Season 2 got announced. That's also coming out. So Rooster Teeth Animation, they're fucking going balls to the wall with all this animation stuff that's going to be coming out. So, RWBY Volume 4 is unfortunately going to be ending soon. And, like I mentioned, next weekend is the finale. The week after that, I'm going to take a break from my channel for a week. I'm going to take a 1-week break to kind of reorganize things, for the new videos I'm going to be putting out. I'm going to be doing Red vs. Blue, because I know everybody and their mother's been asking me about that since Volume 4 starts. Like, are you watching Red vs. Blue? Did you end it? What's going on with it? Are you still going to watch? Are you still going to react to it? I'm going to be getting back to Red vs. Blue once RWBY finishes, the week after the finale. So, those of you who look forward to that, stay tuned. I'm going to be doing the RWBY Chibi reactions, because I didn't watch Chibi episodes 21, 22, 23, or 24. I kind of put that off because at the time I was behind a couple episodes, but RWBY Volume 4 information was coming out like crazy. Like the New York Comic Con info, and then the character short came out, and the World of Remnants were coming out, and then before we knew it, Volume 4 was there. So I decided to put that off on the back burner. So you guys will be getting a full reaction to all 4 of those episodes in one video. So that's going to be coming out on my channel as well. I have an hour-long RTX video that will be coming out on Monday. Monday it will come out. I can't say Monday morning, evening, or night just because of rendering's gonna decide that. But I'm going to have an hour, and it's over an hour actually, over an hour-long RTX video of an hour experience of all the stuff that I experienced during RTX. For those of you who helped me get there. And I'm going to have some announcements regarding a few other things. I'm going to have my full playthrough of RWBY Grimmy Clips for those of you who want to watch that. I got a lot of people who checked out the... my... Like the little short, the 7-minute short fucking video that I did where I couldn't fucking get the relic on the platform in one of the episodes on the island of Merlot Industries. That 7 minutes is a part of like a longer playthrough of the game, but that was just so ridiculous. That was like the most infuriating moment of that entire playthrough. It was funny as fuck in retrospect, but like I couldn't believe something so simple took so long. But my full playthrough of that game will be coming out. I'm thinking about doing, I don't know if it's necessary, because I don't know if anybody really likes it or looks into it, but I need one more trophy for the Platinum for RWBY Grimmy Clips. I love Grimmy Clips. I'm going to be playing it again on Xbox. So, and once I get my PC, I'm definitely going to be playing with viewers, because I know a lot of people have been asking me, but I'm very limited in what I can do in terms of inviting people, especially if I want to stream it through my console. So, I should have my PC no later than April, because I'm saving up for my PC, but I'm also saving up for RTX. So, and obviously I have like bills and rent and stuff like that I have to pay as well. So that's going to be slowly but surely arriving. Yeah, 7 minutes out of 6 hours. But yeah, that was the episode. The episode was incredible. It tugged on my heartstrings a lot. For the happy-go-lucky moments, like the adorable, cherishable moments of, Ren and his family, and, seeing him as a kid and stuff like that, and then the more, tender, heartbreaking moments of, the family, him losing his family, protecting Nora, and all that other stuff, and a bunch of, like, in-between moments. Like, I really appreciated the Jean and RWBY dialogue there, because like I feel like that's super needed for Jean as a character. Like he's come an immense way from Volume 1, especially since RWBY gave him a talk in Volume 1. I love how it was reciprocated with Jean giving her a talk and being like, hey, you didn't drag us along, we came because you inspired us to. But yeah, love the episode, it was great. 2 episodes left. I can't believe I'm saying that, dude. 2 episodes left. And then it's like, I don't know. It's like I know we have RWBY Chibi, and I'm gonna be getting into Red vs. Blue, and I'm gonna be streaming like Kingdom Hearts and stuff like that. So it's like I know, like I just feel empty without RWBY around. You know what I mean? Like it's not just the heart of my channel. It's like it's a part of me as well, and it's just gonna be something so weird to kind of put off until next year. You know? Yeah, the volume went by like that. Like where did the you know what I mean? But at the same time, a lot of stuff was happening for me too. Like I remember when Volume 3 started, you know, the support on YouTube and Patreon and Twitch for me was really growing. Between Volume 3 to at the start of Volume 3 to now, I ended up moving. So I've been going through like a change, like a metamorphosis in my life, similar to like a lot of these characters and stuff and whatnot. So a lot of things have been happening on the back end for me, along with RWBY, and just time just like went like that. You know what I mean? But I'm really glad you guys enjoy these, and I'm glad you guys actually show up for them. Like I get super nervous every time I like start the stream, just because I'm just like, okay, I hope someone likes this. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, it's a me thing, but at the end of the day, I'm just glad you guys actually like. I get like a lot of viewers every week, like live. Like this isn't like, and then I get thousands of people who watch it after the fact, like if they can't join live or whatever, who like really appreciate and care about my opinions and my thoughts of the episodes and just like talking and discussing it. So definitely thank you guys for the support for everything from this entire year, and you know, just continuing to like what I do. Yeah, RWBY hiatus is gonna be tough. It really is. Thank you guys very much for the kind words. Seriously. Thank you very much. But with that said, it is 10:30 at night. That concludes the live stream discussion for RWBY Volume 4, Chapter 10, Kuroyuri. Episode 10 is going to be this Saturday. We will have the live stream discussion for Episode 11. Sorry, Episode 11. I think I said Episode 10. Episode 11 will be this Saturday. Sunday, 7 p.m., if not 7:30 p.m., live stream discussion will be happening, no matter what. Like I mentioned, this past week it was supposed to be Sunday, but then I got sick, so I pushed it back till today. This, for episode 11, and especially the finale, those two will be on Sunday evening at 7 p.m. on my channel. I promise you guys that. The only way that it probably won't is if something happens to me, God forbid, or I lose internet, or something like that. Actually, you know what? No, it will happen no matter what. I'll have a backup for that. So, I just want to make sure nothing happens. Oh, you just joined, Agito. Well, I'm super sorry. I've been streaming for 2 hours and 50 minutes, and the discussion, a lot of people liked it. Thank you, Essie Bessie. I'm glad you enjoyed. I'm glad you guys all enjoyed. Thank you guys all for sticking around and for hanging out, chatting with each other, listening to me ramble from time to time. And I will... I'll try to savor these last 2 episodes. I really will. I just really hope that nothing bad happens to these characters and we can all make it out alive for Volume 5. But thank you guys for the support. Like I said, you guys will have a few videos coming out in the next week or so. And I will talk to you guys all very soon. Thank you, and you guys all have a good night.